Ugh. Discord's doing that thing where like some of almost all, well, not all of them, but some of the channels are like keep changing their what channel they were on last time I was on the Discord.
Sorry, what's going on?
Oh, it's just
right.
It's just a dumb thing on Discord. Yeah, like some of them are still on like the channels where I put my promotion in, but the majority of them, well, some of them don't. They like go back to like the rules channel or something.
Right.
Okay, that's pretty much done. All right. We set up. Let me know when you want to do Odessi. I did a sound check already.
All right, cool. If you're all ready to go, I'm ready to go.
Let's get it.
Ooh, and we're back. KCM Week 3, Season 1, 2025. We're getting started with Hero versus Sock. We're going to be watching on this brand new map, Polestar. Should be an interesting first match. Let me bring up the lineup for today. Lightspeed Sock, Best Tyson YSC, Queen Jaedong Hero. Nice to see Sock in the lineup once again. We haven't seen him for a good while.
Yeah, he's a very talented Terran and very aggressive too. Probably one of the most aggressive Terrans that's a more older player. Like we have these like guys like Sharp and Speed that are very modern Terrans, but Sark's one of these older guys which was also quite aggressive.
Taking a look at the lineup as well for Protoss, Tyson, and YSC. Seem to be staple KCM players recently. Times are changing there, Shun.
Yeah, times are always changing. It seems like Tyson and YSC are becoming almost regulars now in KCM, which is kind of funny to think about, although they have been punching above their weight as of late.
Yeah, we talked about it before in the last video, but the semifinals, they had a very good showing. Or was that week 8? I actually can't remember now. I believe it was week 8 when they actually took a victory, but
right.
They seem to be doing all right. I want to see Snow come back out again, but he seems to be missing for quite a lot of this. He should be gearing up for the SSL once again. He should be getting back into form. Hope he joins us for the KCM in the future.
Yeah, maybe he's hiding his practice. Sometimes when you're preparing and you're not quite feeling sure of yourself yet, he might be in hiding doing practice with some, strict practice partners and trying to maybe figure out how he wants to play, what kind of builds he wants to specialize in for this season, and maybe hide his actual power level for a little bit until he's feeling more confident.
That may be the case. Hero, on the other hand, has been joining us a lot lately in the KCM. He's going to be opening with a pretty late gas here, adding some extra drones, going all the way up to 12 before taking that gas. And in fact, he still hasn't taken it yet. What is his plan?
Yeah, I don't know. But this is interesting, the drone. He tried to get a few extra hits on this Marine. Actually, only got like one hit, I think, and nearly lost the drone. Needs to be careful with that. Trying to slow down this pressure from Sark here. He's pulling off just the bare minimum. Okay, here comes a few more drones now. So this is the maximum amount of drones you need to defend against. It's 8. So Sark's getting a maximum response here from Hero. He's really respecting Sark's aggression. He has these doodads in the center to kind of micro around, but Hero's wrapping around the back and trying to cut off his path of retreat. Sark wisely retreats to the high ground, but not enough. Gets on top of him with the drones. One drone might fall, but not before killing a Marine at least. But I think 2 drones in total are going to go down here at the very bare minimum, but pretty good chase micro from Heroes, catching up to these Marines before too many drones are going down.
3 drones have fallen so far. Now 4 We're getting to that critical damage. 5 drones have gone down. But all the Marines have been killed. Hero just popping drones behind this. Looks like he may be able to stabilize as long as no more aggression is coming.
Yeah, this was a lot of damage from Sark, though. I mean, killing that many drones, forcing them off the mining time for that long, and getting the maximum pull of 8s as well. Like, Sark's feeling very good about this position. He may want to try and press the issue just a little bit more, test his luck, because it's possible that Hero tries to cut corners here and makes purely drones and not many Lings. But we have a second pair of Lings coming out to try and get the cancel on this bunker and mitigate any further disaster. So Sark should be dealt with here, just barely by Hero.
I wonder how close that bunker was to finishing. It took a bunch of damage, so we weren't able to see exactly how far along it was, but it was very high on HP right before those Lings popped out. Very, very close to getting some Marines in that bunker and really making a problem for Hero, but he clears out the Marines and he's made a very small number of Lings, just pumping out drones now and getting a third hatchery going. He's going to have that macro hatchery pretty early on here, even before the Spire ad, so it's going to be a reasonable position, I think, for Hero to macro out of. It's not the greatest. Losing those early drones definitely hurts, but he's reset the Marine count, and he is getting the larva that he needs to redrone.
Yeah, the extra hatchery does help out a little bit, stabilization going into that mid-game, but both players will be resetting their count on terms of how far along their technology is by about a minute or so. So the timings will be delayed on both sides. The stim timing, the muta timing, everything will be at least a minute slower for both sides. Maybe a little bit more for Hero since he's trying to play catch up. This Overlord getting caught by Sack is a big deal. Supply blocking Hero at this junction of the game is very frustrating. Just capping out at 26-26, and now your supply block to the Overlord just about to finish up soon doesn't really get you out of that supply block. So this is a problem for Hero right now, not being able to make anything.
Well, I think it's not too terribly bad. He should have a Spire. Wait, where's the Spire?
Yeah, I don't know.
I didn't see it there in the natural or the main.
I think he, oh no, he didn't.
Or was it in the natural?
I think he just made it now in the main, right? Or am I mistaken?
That might be the case. Maybe he made it over by that third hatchery. I actually don't see that building, and I'm a little bit concerned. I thought he would be waiting on a few Overlords to pop out and then going for it with the mutas. Oh man, running right into these Marines is not going to go well for Hero. He was on a move command there at the beginning of that attack, and now these Marines making their way over towards the natural. How long until these sunken colonies come out? The Spire is so slow.
Yeah.
Not even done here at the 6-minute mark, and the two sunken colonies just start. Is this the end for Hero?
I mean, it might be the end. He's got 2 Lings popping out to tank some damage, but the Firebat coming in makes this terrible trade for Hero. The drones has no chance with the medic and Firebat support of getting on top of those Marines and killing them. Some good target firing with the sunken, aided by the Lings and drones, will help target fire these Marines down. So technically he's alive, but this is almost a game over for Hero. There's like no real path of recovery. He's got like maybe an all-in chance of just going pure all-in muta here. Maybe somehow he can kill Sark with just pure mutas. He's got 1,000 gas banked up. If somehow he can get enough minerals to spend this, maybe he can go on the counter-offensive and punish Sark. He probably doesn't have too much in the way of anti-air defense.
I thought he might try that the same as Yushin, but it seems like he's not going to make a round of mutas just now. He bops out a bunch of drones. He's still got that 1,000 gas bank that you were talking about. So that's a clear sign that he's not ready to just all-in muted at this point.
Right.
Instead, gonna replenish that drone line there at the natural and kind of bite down on those losses. Try to fight his way back to a reasonable macro position, but Sock's just not going to let up with the pressure. He's already pushing out again.
Yeah. He just scanned.
There's not enough Lings here.
He just scanned the natural, sees how many drones that Hero just replenished. So he knows there's no real units coming out from Hero for the time being. So he can put a little pressure on, skimp on turrets, and min-max his own build, and be a little bit greedy and aggressive at this moment. And Hero might be in a little bit of trouble. With good Mutalisk micro, he might be able to, you know, obviously like turn the tide back in his favor again. But it's going to be a little bit difficult going forward for Hero. He is definitely the caliber of player that can navigate his way out of these situations like Soul Key, but he's going to have a hard time with it.
For sure, this is going to be a tough and long road to recovery if it ever happens here for Hero. These Marines are going to put a lot of pressure on his natural, and a third base hasn't even crossed Hero's mind just yet. He's going to be sitting here on 2 bases just trying to survive for the time being. That sunken colony is not going to be much of a deterrent. It's so low on health. He has to stay here and fight these Marines and take care of this Marine medic group before it gets reinforced. Otherwise, he's just going to have to remain here, kind of stuck in a standstill, unable to attack, unable to move out or take a third base, while these Marines just continue to stand there and hold that position in front of his natural. He's moving back now. Sock making some progress backwards across the map towards his own natural, ready to get some reinforcements in. Hero, now that the pressure's been relieved, is actually going to go after the turrets over these barracks, opening up the position. Sock will move out once again, so Hero has to respect it, but maybe he can open up a spot here and start to take over the barracks area of Sock.
At the very least, he'll keep some additional Marines pinned back into the main base and not fully reinforcing this auxiliary forces out on the map, so there won't be any major threat of being bowled over just yet by Sark. So Hero's got a tiny bit of breathing room, trying to get the snipe on that medic, unable to do so. He has been forcing a lot of stims out of Sark, so maybe there's not enough medic energy here to feel super confident. So now he's starting to come in and shave off some of these forces, but honestly, Sark has been pretty on top of his bio control the majority of the time, keeping it in type square formations and not letting too many of those Marines get shaved off. So far so good for Sark. I don't think Hero's done enough of a job to be confident yet. He's got a lot of Mutalisks in here. This is more than one control group's worth of Mutas. He's really trying to start shaving off this Bible as much as possible, picking up a few reinforcements. There's not that many medics in this group in terms of full energy medics. Most of them have drained energy, so he might be able to bully this ball down more and more the more stims he forces.
He's going to fly back into the main. Only one turret was remade, and now the Marine Force is just going to go directly across the map and threaten the counterattack. There's only one sunken colony, and it is very low, so really no hope of holding without all of these mutas being sent back to assist. That is such a big bio ball, and Doc has really prioritized building up this Marine medic force so much. He's just going to take the fight, really diving in on top of all of this. Is he actually going to win this fight? The Ling's moving over to the left-hand side rather than coming to reinforce. This is a bit of a mistake, but he does wipe this out, and he remains with about 9 Mutalisks left over. Can Hero swing this back?
This is wild. He's just barely killed enough bio this game to stay in it. He's got Lings running in, not that many Marines in the bunker, so some of these Lings are going to trickle into the main base, but not enough Mutas maybe to get the best of this force. I think Sark will survive for the time being. Some medics are trying to run back. They will help out a lot. But as you can see, they've got most of their energy pretty drained, so not helping out nearly as much as they should. Sark's in a bit of a trouble in this game, I think. Like, even though he had a good advantage early on from killing so many drones and almost sunken busting, he's not really in the best of positions right now. Hero's done a good job of, like, walking the tightrope of making just the right amount of drones to recovery, and now he's putting on the pressure back to Sark.
Well, the fact still remains, Hero has no third base, and we're getting closer and closer to an irradiate. Diving on top of this bunker, he's gonna go for the kill on that, try to open up the front area, but dude, this bunker goes down so late, and GG is called. Hero crumbles, bashing up against that wall like a wave on rocks. Sock stands strong as he takes down this SSL hopeful in Hero. Kind of an impressive first game from him. A little bit of a rough start for the Zerg race, but I like the way Sock is playing. Aggression, 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 bringing it to the Zergs. Let's see how he does in Terran versus Protoss. All right, keep it going.
Yeah, man.
Oh, darn. One sec. Where is this?
This is the problem with Zerg, is like when you lose it feels bad. Like it usually feels kind of embarrassing the ways you lose a Zerg.
Yeah. It reminds me of that the Jinjin video you sent me about Zergs complaining.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They were losing the most pathetic ways.
It's so true though.
Yeah.
충분히 요 매치업에 만족을 할 것 같고요. 예. 제가 보니까
Okay, with Hero out of the lineup already, the chances of seeing a Terran or Protoss victory are looking better and better. Next up, we've got Tyson spawning here in the bottom left on Dominator. Sock over in the center right. This is the new version of Dominator, where we've got the wall rather than just the pure high ground over the main base, leading out onto that pizza slice. We're gonna get to see it in action now, and what it means for Terran versus Protoss. I think it might actually come into play in this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this particular game, but it certainly should come into play sooner or later in these TVPs, with how Terrans have been getting away with putting on just a little bit too much pressure into the main base of the Protoss when they're attacking. And I think it's interesting how they've still allowed the interactions with the mineral only, so there's no high ground directly behind this mineral only, for example, so you can like say storm from behind there, like on Polypoid or whatever. So I really do like the changes to this map. I think it's like just barely the thing we need to see, like just a tiny little stroke of difference, but not too much to completely change how a map functions.
Yeah, I would be upset if they changed this map in any sort of drastic way. Dominator has given us so many good games, and in general feels like a very balanced overall map. And so with those tiny little tweaks, we might get to see the way that these two races interact with the map in this new situation, this new season of SSL. And I say specifically this matchup because this map, Sock versus Tyson, because Sock is spawned over there in the center right, and as he pushes towards the Protoss, he's going to have the opportunity to siege up tanks kind of near that wall and fire into the main. But action is already occurring here in this best of one. A eBay comes out and blocks for a moment.
Yeah.
The Nexus just slowing that down barely as the Zealot comes across, put on that pressure.
Tyson was going for a gasless 21 Nexus and just got eBay blocked out of it, unfortunately. Now trying to put a little bit of pressure with this first Zealot. Sark's usually pretty good at his early game control, though, with these bar units against the Zealot, so usually doesn't take too much damage against these Protoss players. So hoping that he'll weather the storm here and be in a great spot after blocking that Nexus for some time. It's looking pretty good, his setup so far. Like, Sark is looking very strong today.
He certainly is, and the setup over at the bottom of this ramp is looking very strong as well. Looks like one Marine gets baited forward, but now with 5 Marines pushing, sixth Marine comes out, and the Zealots are a little bit injured. You can't really fight this. He's going to have to fall back and wait for more reinforcements. A Dragoon should be popping out soon, but look at this SCV pull. Sock, he's done enough damage. He feels like he can come across the map and just bunker push him down. Let's see if this works.
Well, he knows the Dragoon count is so far behind. The only really way you hold this is with cannons, and he's not got a forge, so the battery and Zealot micro is going to have to be the tactics used, but it's not optimal. You really want those Dragoons hatching out soon to deal with this, and they just won't be because of how late the gas and core were. He's going to have like 2 gateways worth of production right now, so he can go up to a few Zealots worth of defense here. But then what? You got the Vulture coming in as well. How would you defend this as Tyson right now? This is really awkward. Sark is in a great position. There's 1 Dragoon about range, but if that gets targeted down or blocked with these Zealots, he's going to be in a great position. Beautiful drilling onto these Zealots with the SCVs. He can't really get any DPS done. Look at these Zealots. They're almost never attacking, and so much DPS is coming out from the Gauss Rifles on those Marines. The Dragoon's already lost all of its shields and some of its health as well. The probes are evacuating. This is a great position for Sark to be in. I'm thinking like his win percent must be close to 100 right now. It's insane.
Wow, the control with those SCVs was absolutely incredible. Now going to retreat into the bunker. He pulls all of the SCVs back. And so he won't really have anything to repair this bunker. But I think he's done just enough damage. He's actually going to come down this ramp. Are you serious?
Yeah. There's no range.
Don't push down this ramp right now. Okay.
He can do it with the vultures coming down. So the dragoons zone out the the marines zone out the dragoons while the vultures kill the pros. But unfortunately, the dragoon popped out just as the vulture tried to get behind the minerals. So just barely, he will clean this up now, thanks to the timing of that dragoon hack coming out, and also the kind of ill-advised decision to push down the ramp like that. Now maybe Tyson has a punching chance yet again in this game and get back here and try and kill this bunker just before the Nexus goes down. I think he might just barely save it despite sacrificing some probes.
Yes, he does. He kills the bunker and he saves the Nexus. I think he lost like 5 or 6 probes there at least, but there's no CC on the side of Sock. What a massive throw.
Wow.
Sock had such a good push going there. I love the decision to just immediately gun down the shield battery. And the bunker placement was fantastic, but going down the ramp, almost always a mistake when I see Terran players pull that off.
Yeah, it's very rarely that goes well for them. I'm almost surprised he went for that. And look at this, getting some DPS. All the mine lays, though, maybe these mines can be key. Target firing not going to be paying off for Tyson, unfortunately. Got 1 shot off that mine, but not 2. The other mine might connect. Okay, he manages to clear that one, but the Dragoon is so dangerously low on HP. Needs to be careful. 2 mines are laid in his way. Gets the first one. Can he get the second one? No, he gets 1 connection from that mine. And unfortunately, he's going to be taking hull damage on that other Dragoon now. 2 Dragoons are very dangerously low. One of them manages to circumnavigate dying to that mine, but the tank being repaired by 3 SCVs might just barely out-micro these 2 low Dragoons. The additional 2 Dragoons coming in will be able to finish off Sark, but Sark's good micro is actually killing 2 of these Dragoons in time. He just barely will out-repair this Dragoon. No, he doesn't! He just barely doesn't!
Oh my gosh, it's so close right now. He just barely holds with a single vulture trying to sneak in. Another Dragoon pops out. That's going to block it. Nothing back at home here aside from this 1 tank. 2 SCVs repairing. A 3rd SCV comes forward. Man. And the tank goes down. Tyson is just ripping Sock limb from limb after making that massive mistake. I see. It's so hilarious that you said 100% win chance, but it's crazy.
He heard me and was like, hold my beer. I'm a love snow kind of guy.
Oh, this guy loves throws even more than Love Snow. It's crazy right now what we're seeing out of Sock.
Oh,
He's now running and going all the way back into his base. He's finishing up some extra factories, but he's going to lose this tank. Undoubtedly, that goes down. SCVs are going to surround the 1 Dragoon. Pretty good surround there, but another Dragoon is free. More just spilling across this map, and this is not an easy game to recover from by any measure.
I think he might live, but he's going to take so much damage. It's unreal. Like, eventually, I think he might barely stabilize, but he would have lost so many SCVs by the time he gets tanks and mines out. I don't think it's going to be worth it. Like, he's going to have sacrificed like a dozen or so SCVs from this position to be okay. I mean, I don't know if that's good enough. I mean, we have a 3rd base coming up for Tyson behind us. He's by no means trying to finish the game. This is just leaning on his opponent as much as possible and doing as much as he can with as little as he can while getting his economy into full swing for the mid game. He's like trying to guarantee the game state right now, and he baits out the mines with just a singular Dragoon. He wants to push into this position while pylon walling his own entrance, so the vultures can't get anything on the counter. Tank is finally out to push this away, but I don't know if it might be too little too late.
Yeah, he gets the last vulture. There's only 1 mine, but it's not in a great position. SCVs are surrounding this tank, but here comes the Reaver, the nail in the coffin. He's just gonna annihilate these SCVs, and the GG is forced out of Sock. Tyson takes him down. Oh my goodness,
wow.
A facepalm moment there as Sock goes down the ramp and just tries to end, completely throwing the game back to Tyson. That's a game that you never forget. You're going to be remembering that, 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line, if you ever have to face Tyson again as Sock.
Yeah, that's like a 90% win rate that you just threw down the plug hole. That feels bad.
이게 그냥 안 내려가고 언덕을 사수했으면은 되게 좋게
That's crazy. He just threw a 9-1 game.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
That was a
yeah.
guaranteed dead Nexus, and the range was late, the tech was late for the Protoss as well, so like there's less options. So it's like he's in a great position.
Bro just said hit on 20. Like he's like you know what I mean? It's like dude, why?
Yeah.
Why would you hit right now?
Yeah, that's a hit on 20 moment for sure.
Oh my god, what?
Yeah.
Not a blackjack player.
It might have worked if the Dragoon didn't pop out the second he did it, but because it did, the Vulture was getting no probe kills and just died for free to the Dragoon.
Yeah, you got to give it to Tyson for the good probe pull as well. Kind of he surrounded the Vulture and got on top of the Marines too.
Yeah, it was well played comeback from Tyson.
Yeah, it was a good idea. It was like really good heads up play too, to just like immediately run up the ramp and use all the probes to kill the bunker.
Yes,
like he just barely saved that Nexus. If he hesitated for even a second, he would have lost that. We should mention that in the cast here.
Yeah,
we're focusing a lot on the mistakes of Sock, but
yeah,
let's talk about
let's
Tyson
up a little bit.
All right.
이 선수가 정말 묵직하게 정말 본인이 좀 좋아하는 그 상황이 있어요. 좀 상대가 나를 들건드리고 본인이 원하는 최적화를 해서
So Tyson making that comeback happen, pretty impressive despite the throw of Sock. We should really mention what an excellent controlled defense he made there from the low ground, pulling the probes and just barely taking down that bunker in time. Really good decision making and response time from Tyson overall.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I've been kind of surprised a bit at Tyson's ability recently. He does seem like a bit more of a respectable player. Like, he definitely was considered one of the lower ranking pro gamers for quite some time. So the fact that he's actually punching this well kind of suits his name. Like, I want to see more of this Tyson. I'm not sure if it's a Tyson Fury kind of boxer or a Mike Tyson kind of boxer. They're two totally different animals, so I have to keep my eye on him.
Absolutely. I'm sure Sock very disappointed in himself. He sat down at the blackjack table, he got a 20 and he said, hit me. And went for the goal there. 90% win chance down to 0. And his teammates are probably face-palming even harder than we are. As we move into this next game, we got Jaedong spawning into the top right versus Tyson. He's opened with an overpool. And he's going to be grabbing his natural just now while Tyson is sending his probe out around the wrong direction and opening gateway first.
Yeah. I think gateway first overall is superior. It's just requires more finesse and understanding and perfect decision making. And I think one of the things that's crazy about StarCraft is the delay to that decision making. So like almost like your ping, like how long it takes you to actually be decisive and make that action happen. And I think players like Jaedong back in the day were very respected because they were one of the few players that didn't have a delay. So as soon as his units saw your units, he was going in for you. And that was one of the intimidation factors about this guy once upon a time, was that he was very decisive and just knew when to go in for the kill. We haven't really seen that from him as of late. Unfortunately, also getting his hatchery blocked here at his third base location. Beautifully done by Tyson, blocking that twice now. And Zealot on the way. If he can get this a third time, didn't quite get it a third time. If you got it a third time and the Zealot comes in, then it's a lot of damage.
Yeah, it's going to delay the hatchery by an incredible amount. A little bit too much damage, honestly, at that point. But he does manage to get that hatchery out, and he kills the probe. So there's not going to be an easy scout from Tyson. He won't know timing on this gas and whether a layer is going to start or not. Unless he sends another Zealot out across the map, and that could be a little bit risky. He's baiting with the Zealot over here at the third. As soon as he sees the Lings, he should try to tuck himself into a more defensible position, and instead gonna start to run over towards the center left, draw the Lings away, and try to send these other two Zealots into that main base. Great surround there by Jaedong, trapping that up against the wall, and he's managed to kill it in time. Now he can bring these Lings that were formerly distracted up to the front and completely surround these Zealots. More Lings come forward. This is an excellent hold so far from Jaedong.
Yeah, so far this is extremely cost efficient, and he's doing like almost perfect Zealot blocking with these Lings. It's very impressive indeed. He's making Tyson look a little bit silly now. I think Tyson's going to be feeling bad about that. That's a lot of Zealots he's just wasted. There is no cannons ready back at home. He has to pull a minimum of like 5 probes maybe here. Oh no, he's okay. The Zealot's popping out just in time. I thought for a second that the Zealot wasn't going to pop out in time, and he actually would have to pull a few probes to defend against this, but just barely the Zealot finishes up. He probably will be fine now. But this is still an awkward position for Tyson to be in. He's definitely not optimized in this game by any stretch of the word. Oh, the Jaedong gets in with the Lings. Are you kidding me? Gonna be target firing down that cannon as well. It's dangerously low. Will pop. Now he's opened up the position. Can flood Lings if he so chooses to. And now Tyson's in a much more punishing position to be in now. He needs to block the ramp with the probes and not let the additional cannons go down while Jaedong buys time for additional Lings maybe to make. He doesn't even have to make Lings behind this. He can just make drones and make it seem like he's going for a Ling flood or something, and suddenly Tyson's even more behind because he's lost mining time as well as letting these Lings come in and be annoying.
Well, Tyson is going to call his bluff in that regard, send the 2 Zealots across the map, try to deal some counter damage while Jaedong is busy microing heavily these Lings. Only 1 probe goes down to the 2 Lings that were running around inside of this main. Finally, he will be able to pull the probes to the front, and he gets the scout in the main. This is actually quite good for Tyson. This has gone a lot better than I expected.
Yeah, honestly, this is a lot better for Tyson than I expected as well, saying. This is actually not too bad at all. And he gets a full scout off, like you said. This is actually kind of ideal for Tyson now. After losing those initial Zealots, and he didn't really take too much probe losses there. Just a couple, a little bit lost mining time. It's not really that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. And now we got a Corsair to go in and confirm the tech afterwards to see exactly what's being made. Not too bad. It may be a little bit behind curve, but definitely a very playable game state for Tyson and nowhere near as much of an issue as I thought it would be.
Yeah, that run by, I thought that was going to be the beginning of the end there, and putting him into an even worse spot, but the way things turned out, he's going to be able to optimize his build with full information. It's not, like you said, going to be a great game state, but it's definitely playable. He's going to kill this Overlord as well, it seems. The fire just finished up and Scourge should be on the way. He'll get the 1 Overlord and be able to retreat with this Corsair. I mean, Jaedong... Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was totally distracted by the backside of that Overlord. Like, it kind of looks like cocoa beans. I wonder if there's a Zerg chocolate where like they can like harvest the back cocoa beans of these Overlords when they're. If you look at the arse end of these Overlords when they're facing upwards.
Okay.
You want some Zerg chocolate,
the
man.
Brown, the brown color on the Overlord, giving Shun some ideas. I always thought it kind of looked like a baboon butt.
It kind of does, but with
that's
this
just me.
brown color, I'm thinking like cocoa beans now. I think Zerg chocolate is a forbidden delicacy that we need to get our hands on.
Oh my goodness. Well, Hydras are starting to pop now. I'm not sure exactly where Jaedong is on his overall worker count, but I'd assume around 30 is where he's paused here to start pumping out Hydras. Is he actually going to try and do some sort of bust now? He's pushed back. There's not a lot of drones here, man. I think he might be going for a bust.
Yeah, this is looking more like 4-hatch Hydra way of thinking, and like, or at least setting up a contain maybe, I don't know. He's looking like he wants to kind of bait out an early move out from Tyson and then punish it. It looks like he's trying to bait these Zealots just a little bit deeper, and then he's going to wrap around with these Hydras and try and go for the offense here. It looks like it might pay off. The Zealots kind of tangle up these Zealots, allow the Hydras to get in a few extra shots. Not quite body blocking them from getting the escape, though. So most of the Zealots will get out unfazed, but some of them have already taken quite a lot of hits. That's a bit of a misread from Tyson to turn around there. He needs to keep going, but I think he's worried about the fact that he's only got a few cannons warping in. and only 2 finished, so he's worried about just dying. So we got a panic DT coming out from him, but Overlord's already in position from Jaedong, so this aggression might still pay off. He's got a lot of Hydras and Overlord speed finishing up. He's going to come in for the kill very soon now.
I think bare minimum, Jaedong will get this wall. He might just get the kill, though. Straight up.
Yeah.
This is a very dangerous situation, and he's going to dive now for the cannon. He gets one of the cannons. No pull on the Zealots. He's not going to send those Zealots forward to save just yet. I guess he'll wait for the wall to go down and then dive immediately when the Hydras move in to try and kill these 3 cannons. Yeah, here we go. As soon as the Hydras start to come forward, the Zealots will go out, but they're so low on that HP already. Bunch of probes going to be pulled just to try and block. There's so many more Hydras coming forward, though, and Jaedong is going to easily bust. This is an excellent follow-up to a good early game from Jaedong, and GG is called. Tyson gets worked over.
I'm ready if you are.
All right. Isn't that a boxing reference? Getting worked over?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm
mean,
wrong.
I could use it in that way. I'm not sure if it comes from boxing, but
Let me test. Let me check. Let me check.
it's definitely applicable. I'm not sure if it originates from there though. It might do.
Yeah, maybe not. I'm gonna be off on that one. It's all good.
It's still
Let's
a plus.
go. Speed is going to be our next Terran player coming out here on Eclipse. This map is back in the pool, and there have been no changes from previous seasons. This is the Eclipse that you guys know and love, maybe hate, but hopefully love. We'll see how it goes and what kind of evolved play our pros are going to be bringing out on this historical map. I think there'll be some new tech that might be able to be utilized here. What do you think, Sean?
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, I think just Hydra Defiler is so good on this map. I think, yeah, Hydra Defiler Lurker is a great way to play on maps like this. We might see Jaedong go for that. It does require high levels of execution to get the most juice out of the orange, but I think it's probably the strongest build on this map.
Well, I think you could actually maybe credit this map with the popularity of Hydra Defiler coming back into the metagame.
You could.
Having Eclipse as a mainstay map in the pool for so long meant that Zerg players had to branch out and look for builds that could survive and bring them to late game on this map where you can't really get into 4 gas easily. You need a power spike on 3 gases that can take you into a 4th gas rather than just kind of sitting back and holding with lurkers. Players started adopting that Hydraless Defiler style to get efficient and get that 4th base out securely. SCV moved around this drone and it's going to go for that scout. It's a gas build from speed, so we might not get to the kind of game that we're thinking of with a factory starting already. What's going to be the follow-up from speed? Is he going to go full on mech, or is this going to be something different? Maybe a Valkyrie build instead?
I don't know. I mean, usually when you go full on mech, you want to take an earlier expansion to kind of flesh out your economy more. So I imagine this will be a more techie kind of play from speed, but I could be wrong. Usually you don't want to play mech like this. If you can get away with it, you'd rather take a faster command center. Like a 15cc or something.
Yeah, and we've seen like the way that that's played out in the meta. CC first into mech is like the strongest thing, right? You want to get that economy as soon as possible. So going for this early factory means he will have some pressure he can put on, but the command center is going to go down now, is this just going to be like a vulture run by
Yes.
something like that into a mech play? That could be
Exactly.
possible.
That's more likely. That's exactly what you should do. He should either probably do a more like a 2-port Wraith or a Vulture run by into mech. Like both of those things would be way more optimized for this game state.
가져야지 좀 약간 운영하기 좀 편하거든요. 그쵸?
Well, Jaedong is definitely aware of what is going on. He's seen the entirety of the main. He knows that there's a factory. He doesn't know if it's
여기까지도 이제
follow-up
완료가
starport. He knows it's definitely not 2 starport, though. There's a little bit
그래서
too fast of a CC for something like that to be coming his way. So he's managed to narrow down a little bit the potential builds that could be coming out from Speed, but has he figured out exactly what's coming? Does he know that there's going to be Speed Vultures headed his way very soon? I think he's probably still in the dark, and hopefully he starts throwing down some buildings in his natural to start to clog up that area a little bit. And there it is. The Spire is going to be thrown down in the front.
Yeah.
So he's definitely aware that something like this is at least a possibility.
I would say he's considering it as like a 25 to 35% likelihood of occurring based on Speed's range of play. So he's definitely like, okay, I need to really respect this and like block up as much as possible. He's like considering it to be like a coin flip chance of happening, maybe even.
생각이 됩니다. 자, 3벌초 나왔고요.
With that hatchery plus the Spire built in the front of his natural, he's almost
그쵸, 아래
closed up this area and prevented any possibility of stuff coming in, but there's still a pretty big gap at the bottom. He might be able to slide right in behind these mineral patches, and he will. Can't believe he didn't get the kill on that drone. It looked like that drone took like about 4 hits from the vultures there, but somehow managed to survive. He hasn't lost a single drone just yet.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
as the... Oh, wait, where are these drones
To
going? They're going to
third.
be sent to the third base. Very interesting decision there for Jaedong.
Yeah, this is very interesting. I think he wants to just get those mining as soon as possible, and he knows that waiting for the mutas to finish to clear these out will take forever. So let's just let them shoot away at the gas and then eventually clean them up with mutas, and let's get a little bit of extra mining time from sending these drones to the third, squeeze out a few extra rounds of minerals while waiting for these mutas to finish up.
결과적으로 돼버렸거든요.
I think it's a very reasonable option, but I would be scared that more vultures would be
Right.
on the way and coming to harass that base. He's just mining completely naked there. Naked mining over at that location. He tries to block with the drones as the vultures run out, but not able to prevent them all from escaping to slide out onto the map, and those will remain a threat for the time being. I wonder if Speed is aware of the third base and that it's already done here, or is he just thinking that he's slowed down Jaedong massively by preventing a lot of mining time?
He should know that the third is there based on how late the mutas were and that there was a macro hatchery at the natural. So he should be able to deduce that there's minerals spent elsewhere. He should be able to figure that out.
이게 어쩔 수 없이 이용 선수 입장에서는
Well, as the Mutalisks fly in,
없어요. 왜냐면 상대가 뮤탈리스크를 계속
Goliaths are already present,
수단이 없기
turrets are ready as well.
때문에 나가 있는
There's not going to be an easy way to just come in and start killing off SCVs,
수시로 벌쳐
but that's not really the way you play against mech. We're really going to watch Jaedong try to mass up
버로우링
and either dive the main as the Goliaths move out, or try to overwhelm that Goliath number
알고 있는데요.
as it arrives at one of these bases. Maybe build sunken colonies up here on high ground and over at his natural, and just
지금 몇 개 안 돼.
have too much defense for Speed to break through when he finally does this counter or this full-on timing attack. The most important thing is, though,
지금 드론 보세요.
on the side of the Zerg, to get in and see what type of mech this is. Is there a starport coming? Is there a science facility? All you need to see is that starport, and you know exactly what you're up against.
Yeah, basically you want to see, is it 3 factory tech or is it 5 factory mass? And then based on that, you know, are they going to sit and chill and go mass upgrades and tech into vessels to put me on a timer so I can't go mutas? Or is he going to go mass Goliath and like try and kill me early on or something? And you just basically need to figure out what you need to do. Do I need to switch up my tech or can I stay mass Goliath? If they go pure Goliath on 5 factories, you can stay pure muta. But if they transition into going tech, you obviously can't, you know, go up against irradiates with pure muta. So you're going to have to transition as a result.
다반사인데 지금 요만큼
That's exactly right.
이재동 선수
And he's managed to parry this vulture attack.
지금
over at the top center. He's adding on more hatcheries. He still doesn't have this information. We saw Speed building a starport in that natural, so it is 3 factory tech, and he needs to know about it. The sooner the better. If he continues to make mutas non-stop and Speed just sits and eventually gets into a... Oh god, this run by. Okay, run by gonna go right up into the main. There's barely any HP on these 2 vultures. They're gonna get 2 kills, a 3rd kill, but no more. Pretty reasonable hold there from Jaedong. Good control from him with those mutas popping out at just the right time.
Yeah, I mean, we got a real game on our hands now. This is really interesting. I'm loving the tech mech from Speed as well on this map. Should play wonders going into the mid game. I'm curious, Jaedong is playing maybe just wide enough to still make this work against mech. 9-minute 4th is actually a little bit slow against mech. You sometimes can get away with it even at like 8 minutes. Very reasonable against mech. You can play extremely wide. You can think of yourself as the fat Zerg when you're playing against mech and treat it more like a Zerg versus Protoss. Oh, these vultures coming into the 3rd base though, saying we'll do a lot more damage than just 3, I think. Maybe at least 4 or 5 here. Like, try and drill on top of the vultures, but that's also going to give them more opportunities to run back to the gas and get even more kills. Finally being cleaned up by the Mutalisk, but took about 5 or 6 drone losses there additionally.
This is the thing about Speed. He's like sharp in TVP. He always seems to get in with his vultures when he makes them. When he's trying to harass you as a Zerg player, he just has such a tenacious ability to get in on your drones and hit where you're not expecting. And now he's going to come up to the natural once again. Jaedong going to block that at least. He's got some Hydras out now. That's very good that he's starting to make this transition, because if he didn't start the transition, he's going to be in a lot of trouble with this many mutas out on the field. There's the first science vessel. He's diving in and killing a few of these Goliaths, and he did manage to kill some SCVs as well, but has to retreat as the science vessel comes forward. That irradiate's going to be done soon, and that's just no bueno. You got to get out of there.
Right, that's the pre-irradiate, like, last-ditch effort of doing some trades for free before you know that the irradiate's going to come out to punish you. So he's just trying to get a little bit of trades while his mutas are in maximum force at like 2 control groups almost, and he can come in there, get some Goliath kills, and pop out just before he gets smashed by that irradiate timing. And now we got the transition into Hydras as irradiate becomes a factor. I'm liking these additional macro hatcheries. He's a little bit light on his drone saturation. I don't know, like, mech is very hard to play against, but fortunately for him, Speed did the tech mech style where he was much slower going about it, you know, not even getting that fast command center. So I think Jaedong is still lining up pretty nicely for dealing with this. It's just so hard to play against mech as Zerg. I still worry for him.
It is very tough, and Speed getting in and killing drones is going to make it so much harder. This is where he excels, right? He's going for a style that forces him to stay passive for a really long time. But getting out on the map and just killing off a few drones, he's going to be able to slow down his opponent enough to where that won't really matter.
Yeah.
He does end up losing a bunch of these vultures for free, though, and throwing away vultures for free is not going to give him a good position. He really needs to get in and actually kill drones if he wants to slow down Jaedong enough so that this mech actually matters.
Yeah, and Zerg versus mech is very strange. Like, 4 bases actually isn't OP against mech. It's not like versus Bio where 4 gases and you're good. It's like 4 bases and you're maybe even with the mech player. So yeah, you got to be really cautious with Zerg when you're trading them out, because the mines, the tanks, the Goliaths can get so much tremendous value. That's not including the irradiates that will come out as well. So you also got to make sure you're positioning your mutas correctly when you're engaged and pulling out the weak mutas that are getting irradiated or whatever. It gets very complicated in hitting the Terran all at once with all of your force and bringing them to bear like we see now. Pretty good pincer maneuver from Jaedong, coming from 3 angles, trying to get on top of this mech army. Mutalisk going on target fire onto those tanks, doing a pretty good job. 1 irradiate coming out, nicely siphoned off, though, not taking too much AoE damage from that. Jaedong doing a pretty good job of surging in here. He needs to cut through this army so that he can get on top of the 3rd base to take that out. This is the transitional point of weakness for Speed's build right now. So like a 13-minute timing where he's put a lot of resources into taking this 3rd base, and his army is at its lowest point. Has to tap out here, does Speed. So really well executed play from Jaedong, understanding the perfect moment to go in and get the kill.
A very well coordinated attack. All the Hydras were hitting at the same time and running right up in range of the tanks to gun them down immediately. It's very difficult to shut down an upgrade mech style like that, but Speed went forward a little bit too soon, I guess, with his tanks. He didn't get enough damage with the vultures either with those few run-bys he tried to attempt. Maybe not enough mines in front of the tanks as well. A lot of things went wrong for Speed, and Jaedong executed that attack perfectly, taking out one of the strongest Terran players in this lineup. Speed is like that guy, that Zerg killer.
Yeah.
We expect to do well every single week. Jaedong taking him down, that's a really big check mark in his favor.
This is so perfect for the Zerg squad right now. They're getting the great time to go into a ZVP. Because like should be Jaedong favored to win this, and then that is so much momentum going forward. But then you got Light who might reverse sweep.
Yeah, absolutely. And Best is still a monster, man.
Yeah.
He's still scary. You know what I cast today on the super live stream was Best versus Hero. I won't reveal anything, but that's definitely a series you should check out. Really crazy series.
Nice. I think
very good back and forth.
I think Best is probably one of the better players to study if you want to learn Protoss. I think the way he plays is the most transferable to people studying his play. If that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Like you can't
That's
copy what
you can
Snow
learn
does.
from.
You can't copy how Snow plays. You can't
Right.
breathe a micro like him, but you can kind of play like Best.
It's pretty hard to play like Solky when he just makes all the right decisions every time.
Right.
Best, he just plays in a powerful way. He just hits all the beats.
Yeah. And
Knows how to make a big army.
And learning those beats from watching him play is very good. I would recommend it to any pros player.
For sure.
도재욱 선수, 윤철 선수 그 다음 경기 지더라도 도재욱 선수는 한 명만 이기면 되는 상황입니다. 그래서 이게 정말 그 팀전이라는 게 1킬 1킬이
Here we go. YSC versus Jaedong is next. We've got a 300,000 all-kill prize, but I think that's been taken off the table now, right? Sock, who did Sock go down to? Oh no, actually, you know what? That is still on the table. Tyson, Jaedong beat Tyson, so there is still that possibility. But he has to take down YSC, then Light, then Best. That is a tall order. We were just talking in the break about how powerful Best and Light are.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so just a quick rundown of what we were saying and a little bit about Light as well. So Light is like one of the craziest guys in the scene that's a little bit unknown because it was quite a long time ago, like 15 years ago, that he was so dominant. He had a 90+% win rate against TVZ in for a whole season and so maybe a whole year. And then Best is like the guy you want to study if you want to become a good Protoss player, because this guy just plays so solid and the beats that he hits are just so crazy powerfully strong that you don't need any fancy micro to do what he does. It's not like watching Snow play and you can't emulate it because the Reaver micro is just too insane. Like Best just plays powerfully.
Absolutely. We've got YSC here in bottom left, opening with the gateway first. We'll be sending it Zealot's cross map, which is going to take a long time to actually take effect. Jaedong sitting back at home in top right has opened with an overpull as well, so he'll definitely have the resources to deal with these Zealot pressure. It will be a little bit hard to find the Zealot though. There's such a wide open area in the middle of the map. The chances of him just kind of walking into that with a few early lings is pretty low, and we just saw now that YSC moved around the normal pathway that the Zerglings would take, and he manages to slip by there. But two lings are making their way into the natural. Looks like they're hitting the pylon. and dealing some damage to it, putting some threat onto YSC while this Zealot makes its way over to the third, actually. He's going to look for that third base. He's not going to find it. Bit surprised he didn't send this directly into the main.
Yeah, this is probably a mini game that these two have played against gone the distance with many a time. Just a little bit of ring around the rosy with the Lings. Not doing much besides shaving off some shields off that pylon. I'm sure YSC, despite not being the strongest of players, shouldn't be taking too much damage early game to this, although I'm sure he also respects the fact that if he does let too many of these Zerglings run riot in his base, he's going to be in a world of hurt. So as long as no additional shenanigans happen, I'm sure he'll be okay. Although this is a great pickup. If he can get this probe scout kill, it does put him in the dark. We had the Zealot hiding at this other natural third location, which is now making its way downtown to the natural expansion of Jaedong. If there's no additional Lings coming out, this actually might do a lot of damage because he's chasing this probe for so long, and now it's going to be a long time before they get back to help against that Zealot.
The Lings are coming forward, and there was a time when Jaedong's Lings were infamous for the amount of damage that they could do if they snuck into your base. It was like Jaedong Lings were a different animal completely. They're a different unit outside of the regular Zerg arsenal.
He's flooding
If
them.
two Lings manage to get into your main base, that they could just deal infinite damage. There's a lot of Lings coming and a Hydralisk Den. Is this going to be the Hydra range build with Ling follow-up?
Yeah.
That might be a possibility. Lings are flooding into this front, and the cannon is far from completion. The gateway is getting lower and lower as the cannon finishes up. Zealots come out to try and help. He's going to go after this gateway. Can he actually get it? He will kill off that gateway, but a fresh gateway is made in its place, and it covers up that hole. I think YSC is going to be okay for now, but he can't produce any more Zealots for the time being, and Hydras are going to be on the way soon here.
Yeah, I was a little bit sloppy from Jaedong. Didn't retarget fire additional Lings onto the gateway to finish it off. A few of them were hitting the core for a little bit too long, and so didn't quite pick off that gateway and get out before losing a few additional Lings. Although the main follow-up is going to be this 973 that's coming soon. I don't know if YSC has any idea that this is the follow-up, but he should be able to at least make some hedge your bets cannons and make a third cannon just to make sure, because there's no way he can get a scout right now, so he kind of has to play safe. So the third cannon is almost necessary.
That hedge your bets cannon would be really important. There it is, actually. He does make the extra cannon and can cancel once the Corsair makes its way across the map. Very smart play from YSC, and it's going to pay off in a big way. As he sees these Hydras, he can just let that finish and add more cannons, and he should be in a pretty reasonable spot to try and hold this. It's still possible that Jaedong breaks through, though. We haven't had any more Zealots be made. There's like 2 sitting there in the natural, and there's still a lot of Lings left over from this initial attack.
Yeah, he really wants to protect this core, so he's making the 4th cannon right up against the wall. I'm not sure if he's going to be successful in saving that core. I think it might be doomed to die no matter what, but he might be able to survive and not get just busted up straight here. But he actually might need to start making additional cannons. I don't think 4 will be enough against this. Okay, there's the 5th cannon, and look how quickly this core's going to die. He will be able to get a tactical snipe on this Overlord maybe, so that a DT can be made, but doesn't find that kill, unfortunately, with those 2 neutron flares. So 30 HP left on that Overlord, and ticking up slowly but surely. Now busting through this core, is just about ready to dive onto these cannons maybe, but doesn't necessarily have to. He can just throw down macro hatcheries and go into drones from this position after forcing so many cannons.
I think that might be the right choice. However, diving forward now, Lings are going to body block these Zealots as the Hydras pick off some of the cannons. There's still 3 with a 4th about to warp in. At least he'll open up a position to kill this gateway uncontested.
Yeah,
but more cannons are finishing up.
He was trying to bait the probe drill with the fake Hydra bus so that he could get economic damage. That's why he started gunning down the probes as soon as they became in range. But because YSC pulled them back a little bit, he actually only got like 1 or 2 probe kills. So not really finding much there for that effort is Jaedong. But he is macroing behind this. He's got 5 hatcheries on the way. Losing the Overlord's a little bit annoying. Does supply block him, make it a little bit slower in getting his economy back into full gear again, because he hasn't quite got full saturation with his drones at that 3rd base. Picking off that Corsair is pretty huge, though. So overall, I would say this is pretty Jaedong favored the way things have gone. It's just that being supply block now kind of makes it a little bit crippling.
When you can't produce any drones at a important moment like this, it's quite a big frustration for Jaedong. And any Zerg player who's been in a situation knows that feeling. Zealots are starting to come out in large numbers, but there's still enough Hydras, I think, that the push out can't happen just yet. More Hydras being made, in fact. Jaedong going to continue to make Hydras, and he might go for a follow-up bust.
Yeah.
Making a huge amount of Hydras now, sending them directly to the front. If YSC doesn't have
he needs like
Templar, he doesn't have Storm.
He needs 10
yeah,
cannons.
He's got to have so many cannons. He's got 12 Zealots to try and hold this, and they have speed. Maybe that's enough. But this is going to be a lot of Hydras making their way to the front. One Corsair going across the map. It's going to try and deal some damage. Two Corsairs actually are looking for those Overlords, but he's not able to find any yet, and Jaedong is just massing up Hydras at this front. Can he actually break through before the storm? If he doesn't, he's dead. If YSC breaks, then of course he will lose this game. Yeah. So it's all going to come down to this last engagement. Wait, drones are popping out now? He's actually going to transition.
Yeah, I think he realizes that it didn't quite go well enough with the initial trades, and there's just a few too many Zealots here now. YSC's done a pretty good job this game of not like overreacting too much, but honestly I think he should have thrown down a few extra cannons just before that first initial trade to be safe. This is a bit of a wild game because we keep seeing back and forth transitions, and these Templars are only just popping out now at like 10 minutes, so this game is very wonky in the ebb and flow in the curve of when technology is being achieved and when thresholds are being met. So I'm not quite sure how to call this game going forward. We'll have to wait and see if we have this powerful move out from YSC and he just bowls over Jaedong here if he doesn't make enough Hydras, because Jaedong might feel pressured to make non-stop Hydras now, knowing that there's a crazy amount of Zealots that are about to spill forth.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to these engagements coming up. Whether he's able to dodge the storms and how many Hydras he decides to produce now. Coming out. YSC going to take this fight. And Jaedong has to retreat. The pure Hydra army will melt against all of these storms. There's 2 DTs out here as well, and there's no Overlord speed. Those are going to be a real problem.
Yeah, this is like working in YSC's favor. Like he's pushing the Hydra so far back that they won't have much room to maneuver against the storms. Maybe that's a beautiful blanketed storm as well. YSC just needs to keep pressing his foot down on the pedal right now and keeping the Hydras backing up closer and closer to the rally points so that the storms become increasingly more effective. These are great storms as well. Almost maximum efficiency on those. Not quite finding enough kills, but doing a great job. He hasn't got enough storm left in reserve though, so Jaedong with some good micro might be able to gun down the remainder of these Zealots, and suddenly he's cut off the head of the snake. Maybe YSC doesn't have enough left in the tank to keep going, and suddenly Jaedong might be able to outscale him with the crazy 6-hatch Hydra production.
Looks like his hatchery production kicked in just in the nick of time. He's managed to squeeze out barely enough drones to make this force, this massive Hydralist force that's just been able to stop YSC in its tracks. Mere seconds before he makes his way into that natural and pins down the army against the buildings. Jaedong has barely held on, and he's starting to transition into lurkers. We might actually see this go late now that he's held this attraction. What a crazy game this will be. Yeah. Just a wild story of a game. If this manages to go into the late game in a split map situation.
Oh, this is a crazy back and forth, like tug of war between these two competitors. It looks like YSC, though, has managed to get into a little nook and cranny near this 12 o'clock position, although his units are very quickly becoming engulfed by the sheer volume of Hydras. Beautiful storms on that left flank, while the Zealots go to town on those Hydras on the eastern side, and the Zealots also pounding away on those drones on the mineral line. This is looking better and better for YSC. Jaedong falling apart just a little bit here, finally gets those drones out of the critical danger zone. Now we've got some lurkers also coming to position to defend. Finally starting to clean up on our 5. side, but there's more and more units streaming across the map for YSC, trying to press the issue. Dark Templar in the main base. If Jaedong doesn't notice this quickly and pulls these drones, a lot of drones, Griffle does notice it after 2 or 3 drones going down to that Dark Templar. Has got this 12 now fully defended, so won't take any additional losses there, but he's taken so many drone kills, drone losses in this main base and natural right now. DT still going to have 17 kills on this Dark Templar as it goes down, saying, and 10 on this other one in the main, now 11.
28 total kills is absolutely insane. It seems like YSC found the moment of weakness. He found the chink in the armor there and managed to ram his sword home, breaking through that third base and getting on top of it with the Zealots. It seemed like Jaedong was going to have lurkers in time, but he sent them across the map. He wanted to be aggressive rather than setting up for the defense and waiting for YSC to come to him. He sent those across, and the Zealots managed to do massive damage along with the DTs, and this is now looking like a desperate situation for Jaedong as he tries to recover. Yeah. He should have been taking his 4th base already. He should be having around 50 drones, but I'm going to be surprised if he has anything more than 45, which is kind of bare minimum for making a Hydra Lurker on a 6 hatchery on 3 bases. You really do need a lot of drones to make that work, to really get the full production out of all of these buildings, and he's slowly making his way back up to that, but YSC has already taken his 3rd, and he's evening out the base count here against this Zerg player.
When a Protoss player takes his 3rd base, saying you got kind of like 2 choices. You either go battle Zerg mode and make as many like lurkers, hydras, and mutas or whatever as possible and try and kill them, or you have to go and transition into hive tech, and Jaedong looks like he's choosing the former, and he's going full on gas pedal pushed all the way down to the floor right now and trying to make as many units as possible, see if he can go on the counter offensive. YSC though already setting up with cannons at that 3rd base, quite a lot of infantry already in position there as well. Jaedong surging forth though to the natural expansion, which is slightly less well defended. YSC coming in from the left hand side, trying to get back into position again, but already the lurker field has been set up, so not the worst positions for Jaedong here. Has got all his units spread out, but there's so much storm and so many dragoons that it doesn't really matter. YSC is going to trade well regardless, and that's some beautiful blanketed storms on the last forces of Jaedong. I don't think he's going to have any hope of coming in here and dealing with YSC. I think he's just signed his own death warrant, saying the win percentage must be plummeting right now. No transition in the works, and he's just completely fallen flat on his face with this idea.
Well, Jaedong has fallen flat on his face, no doubt, but YSC, a moment of brilliance, able to hold on to all of the back and forth, the will he, won't he of Jaedong, thinking about Hydra busting and then not Hydra busting and then Hydra busting again and then transitioning. It was a difficult road to navigate, but he navigated it with very good accuracy and efficiency, managing to get in on top of those drones with the DTs, splitting off the units. Really, really good showing here for our Protoss player. There's only 1 Zerg and Terran left and 2 Protoss remaining. Is this the week of Protoss? Are we finally going to get a Protoss win, or at least a Protoss point on the board? We're going to find out. Coming right up. I guess we'll get at least 1 point on the board for Protoss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, this is light, though.
Well, here's the thing, right? Even if YSC loses, then it's going to be light versus queen, right? So best gets the at least 1 point. Like, they're going to get 2nd place no matter what.
Oh, yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I didn't think of that while I was talking, but yeah.
I'm like too blazed to think like that right now. I missed out on that.
The cause and effect.
Yeah, I missed out on that particular cause and effect.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Oops. Going back. Here we are. All right.
Let's get it.
Go. Metropolis is our next map, and I misspoke there at the end. it's definitely going to be at least 1 point here for Protoss. Whether or not YSC wins or loses, it'll be... even if he loses, it'll be Light versus Queen next. And so one of those two races will be eliminated, and Protoss will get at least 1 point on the board. Let's go, Shun.
Yeah, let's go.
Protoss
buddy.
is on the board.
It's about time, isn't it? I mean, and we have to really pay respects to these like lower rung players like Tyson and YSC. They've really been pulling their weight and more. Punching above their weight seems like the appropriate terminology we used at the start.
Absolutely. Now, all kill prize is off the table. We're just playing for points, and of course the $750 prize that's present every week of KCM for the winning team. Starting out with a gateway right here in his main. This is a kind of a wacky map. We have Metropolis. This is our 4-player map, but the main bases are so oddly shaped.
Right.
It leads to some very interesting game states.
Yeah, it's almost like a boot shaped, you know, like a really massive boot that's kind of on its side, or depending on what angle you're on, and have these like 2 little corners in your base that are easily droppable. So it does make it a bit awkward in terms of planning your base to be as drop resistant as possible, so that later on in the game you don't just get absolutely bamboozled.
Drop play going to be super strong, yeah, on this map. There's just so much surface area to drop or to recall as well. Your high ground in your main is covering your natural somewhat, but that can also be a double-edged sword. Maybe you're mining at the natural and a drop comes in, storm drop, something like that, into your main base. They can hit your mineral patches from that main, and that could be catastrophic for either side if tanks get up there or if Templar land up there. Well, we're still a long way from a situation like that. We still have to get through these openers. Light opening with his factory. Is he going to come out here and try to push a little bit, or will he be hanging back? This is cross map. It's going to be hard to do any sort of early push on this map.
Right.
It's so massive.
Oh, it is pretty big. I don't think it's quite as big as Radiant, obviously, but it's big enough. It's big enough to, like, yeah, be a little bit hesitant to just push out cross-map against a Protoss player. You'd probably be feeling pretty suicidal doing that, honestly. It must be a little bit harder to hit your timings as Terran. You probably want to wait for, like, 3 tank pushes and things like that.
And probably Light has a plan in mind, just in case there happens to be a cross-map situation. He did an end scout, scouted bottom right, then top left, and now bottom left. He finally sees that it's not a Nexus first, so he's going to be a little bit happy about that. Never like to see that Nexus first cross spawn.
Yeah, you never would probably want to see that as a Terran player. I mean, I've only experienced it a few times when I'm off racing, but you guys on ladder probably know all the pain too well of being cross map against Nexus first. Feels unwinnable, but it's not. It's just very, very difficult.
Very difficult indeed. Wait, this Vulture slides into the main base. Light might be getting a lot of damage here. Already 2 probes, but he needs to get a little bit more for this first Vulture.
I would say 3 is necessary for the sacrifice of the first Vulture. If he loses it, if he gets out, 2 is fine, but if he loses it, he needs to get at least 3 to make it worth it. Losing out on those mines is huge. Does start to force a bit of a tax repair bill back at home for Light here. These 2 Dragoons raining down on that bunker with their phase disruption shots will force a little bit of a repair, so does manage to siphon off a little bit of minerals here from Light just before this tank finishes up.
That honestly never crossed my mind, that you would go in with the Vulture, get 2 kills, and then get out.
That's crazy.
I'm thinking, like, you either go in and you get 2 kills and die, or get 3 kills and die, or you don't go in. Those are the only 2 thoughts that those are the only 2 scenarios that would ever cross my mind. But here we are. He goes in, he gets the 2 kills, he gets out. Now there's 3 Dragoons on his side of the map trying to dive the tank, but a great pull by Light, and he even brings the SCVs to the ramp to make sure that those Dragoons can't just run right past the bunker and go on top of that tank.
Yeah.
Perfectly held,
Ooh.
and he gets the mines behind this, managing to land himself a kill on one of these Dragoons. Now he's just going to push.
Yeah,
I mean, he's killed a Dragoon, and he's really damaged the others, so
Yep.
he's got some momentum on his side now.
Yeah, one of the things about losing HP on Dragoons is it's worse than you think, because Vultures shave off your shields with true damage, so it's very easy once a Dragoon is low HP for that low HP Dragoon to be target fired by the Vulture and then just picked off with one hit once the shields are depleted again. So those Dragoons fall so quickly in the trade, so Light sometimes will just pull the trigger on going for an attack as soon as he smells blood in the water. Well, it looks like this time he went on the hunting warpath and then decided against it, and instead like running his army around and making sure there's nothing hiding. I think he's a little bit suspicious of YSC doing some shenanigans maybe.
Yeah, again, it is such a long rush distance to go cross map. Even after killing a couple of Dragoons, I guess he only got the one, but one of these is so low, it's nearly dead.
Yeah.
It's such a long rush distance, it's hardly worth trying to push and end up losing those tanks. There's definitely going to be rallies of Dragoons popping out and likely to save YSC's skin just with those extra rallies. And so...
Light's going Goliaths to deal with the observers, so he's delaying his engineering bay and academy, and YSC's hiding DT tech in his main base at the top. So this is actually really good for YSC. There'll be not much in the way of detect. Oh, he's not. He's going fast arbiter. But I wonder if he's going to throw in any DTs in this. I thought maybe he was going for a bit more of a DT gambit, but it seems like he's actually just going to be rushing into very fast arbiter here.
I think DT is a natural transition into arbiters. You want to waste some of the Terran scans. You want to force them to play a little bit more cautious so you can buy some time to get these arbiters out. They're powerful units, but they take a long time to build and gather that energy in order to cast some spells. Otherwise, they're just basically flying paperweights, only able to cause a little bit of mayhem with the cloak field, but if the Terran player is prepared and they have enough scans, it's really not going to be an issue.
Yeah, but the scans is the main thing. If you can get into a situation where you deplete the scans of the Terran, it's like a uh-oh moment, and suddenly the Arbiters have crazy high value again. A bit of a mid-range value unit, the Arbiter. Like, it gives you pretty good consistent value, but not really high potential value, something like Storms would. So it's definitely a safe choice to go for, maybe Arbiters, but not always going to be giving you the maximum returns as well.
That's why I think in the modern age, we have very few Protoss players ever add a second Stargate and start pumping double Arbiter.
Right.
They're much more likely to just switch it up into Storm Tech as the gas starts to really build up, as they get more bases online and...
Yeah.
Really get their macro underway. Just get those storms out. It pairs much better with the army and adds a lot more value than just an extra stasis or an extra bit of cloaking field with those arbiters running around.
Yeah, there's a few rare circumstances where you'll see that double Stargate on maps like Citadel, where you want to rely a bit more heavily on your arbiters than usual. But other than that, you won't see too many of them these days, just because of that low expected value, or at least mid-range expected value from them. It's more of a noob-friendly unit rather than like a get the most juice out of the orange kind of unit.
Definitely, you can move an army very quickly. I like how you say that. A noob-friendly unit. Protoss has quite a few of those, don't they?
Oh, they do. they do.
Just kidding, guys. All right, calm down before you start typing out a long comment. These are just jokes, friends.
Yeah.
We've got...
I was gonna say, you had those guys that talk about, oh, like, Hydras are so OP because they're, like, so supply efficient because they got 80 HP and only cost 1 supply. It's like a Zealot has 160 HP for 2 supply and 1 armor for 100 of that HP. Just putting out there.
Well, let's try to keep on task here, Shun. We'll continue to cast this game. We've got YSC taking a 4th base at the same time as making these arbiters, and Light, is he gearing up for a third of his own? Oh, he's going to fly right past into the natural. This is disastrous. Nothing in that wall. That's one of the first rules of playing Protoss. You have to keep that wall tightly controlled. Keep a unit in there. At least one Dragoon should be there at all times, but YSC breaks the golden rule and he pays the heaviest price.
Yeah, I'm sure his teammates are kind of like laughing and rolling their eyes a little bit at that. It's pretty unfortunate to lose so much to these run-bys. Can be avoided usually. One thing I will say is that as soon as the mid-game becomes underway in PvZ and PvT, usually the natural expansion is the weakest spot for the Protoss players, so can be a good just run it down there. This DT's being super annoying, by the way. Like we were saying earlier, the scans got forced out and now he's depleted, waiting a few extra seconds for the scan to finish up. Lost a few extra tanks to this one DT who's being super annoying. Finally does scan and clear that up.
Another scan comes out. That DT is cleared, but now 0 scans once again. If there was another DT here, it would slow down Light dramatically. There is one turret now as Light pushes up towards this high ground. Looks like he's floating out a CC, going to take his third base. We're past 11 minutes, though. If YSC didn't lose a whole bunch of probes there a minute ago, I would say his position is fantastic, but I don't really know where he's at this point. How many probes went down, and whether or not he's going to be able to max out a big army and get some use out of these Arbiters as well.
Yeah. I mean, the supplies kind of indicate that the game is looking kind of crazy good for Light right now. Like, Terran shouldn't be 140 to 127. They should be, if anything, the other way around with a slightly bigger lead for YSC than that. So the fact that we're so even on supplies and slightly ahead for Light, this is kind of indicative of a very powerful position that he's in. We're going to have to rely on some crazy gambits with these Arbiters to maybe come back in the scale of power here for YSC. I don't know how he's going to manage to get good enough value. He's going to have to kill a lot of units and SCVs with these recalls. So he has to do kind of both here.
Well, he's going to have an opportunity to get a recall off before EMP is available. No way that Light already has EMP ready, set up here. So there's going to be one opportunity to come in and do one single recall, and then after that, Light will be contesting those with the EMPs. So he'll have to get as much damage as possible. You have to get a big chunk of damage onto Light if he wants to be able to bring this game back. He's still behind in supply. He's still having a hard time. He's coming up onto this high ground. Immediately turns around when he sees that big supply depot wall and all the tanks up there, along with the mines. I believe he did spot those out with the observer that just died. That is a tough spot to recall or attack into.
Yeah.
Not going to be ideal for YSC whatsoever. He's just about at that 150 energy, though. Where is he going to send this first Arbiter?
Yeah, it's a good trick for Terrans to like dump a bunch of mines next to some siege tanks at their expansion. So you recall on top of the tanks and suddenly your army blows up to all the mines that are next to it. So even though the mines will also kill the tanks, you don't care about that. You're just baiting in the recall to kill it. Another recall now coming into the main base, though. He will be successful in getting in here, but there's a few mines on the periphery that kill a pretty big chunk of those Zealots, and it's a mostly Zealot-based recall. Usually you want a lot more Dragoons in these recalls in terms of how much army composition there is. So this actually won't get a lot done here for YSC. Just kind of like opening up this position maybe for further attacks by killing the turret, but really not accomplishing a lot.
Yeah, this was terrible for YSC. He basically popped out in the worst possible position for the Protoss army, stuck up against the wall with mines and tanks bearing down from the north. That was terrible trading. And that first recall, that's so important. I was trying to convey the importance of how much that's going to affect this game going forward. Turns out terribly. The position for YSC, I mean, even though he's taking multiple bases and he's stretching out on the map, this is going to be an incredibly difficult game for him. When this push comes, I just don't see how he's going to be able to stop it. He's kind of stalled out here at 172. And it makes me feel like he just hasn't built enough probes in this game. He just doesn't have the income necessary to max out this army. How is it taking this long for him to max? Light has been sitting here at max for a little bit now, and he's starting to build up a bank.
Yeah, it's not been optimal for YSC at all this game. He's so far behind the economic curve, even though he's got all these bases sprouting out. He's trying to play catch up, but by the time he catches up to the thing he was catching up before, he's now behind in another metric. So he's forever trying to pay off the tax, the interest rate, and not able to do so. His national debt is just growing at this point. And look at his army as well, just getting absolutely obliterated in the center. You can't fight head-on against a maxed-out Terran like that and hope to tell the tale, besides the tail tucked between your legs when you're running away afterwards.
It was a great EMP there from Light as well, catching a bunch of those Templar as they were popping out of the shuttle. Not the easiest trick to accomplish, but he managed to hit about 2 or 3 Templar there before they got their storms. Tanks now moving through the middle of the map, and really the storm is the only thing that can save YSC in a situation like this. He has to get the most monstrous storms you've ever seen. And Light is just not giving them to him. He's not stacking up his tanks. He's being very careful at spreading everything out, and now we're going to see Light mine from the middle. Yeah. I love it. These stacked mineral patches are finally being used.
I always like how mindful is Light with how he positions his tanks and doesn't just stack them all up onto blobs. But this recall could do a lot of damage, although that mine was pretty well connected onto those Dragoons, and the rest of the units are kind of body blocks behind those mineral fields, not really accomplishing much yet again. It does manage to target fire down the shuttle and the High Templar as it comes out, so no real Psionic Storm support. There's almost zero utility besides the cloaking fields of these Arbiters that are supporting these Protoss forces, and as a result, as long as Light is on top of scans or has this science vessel nearby, really, like, it's just pure Zealot Goon that are going up against the almost maxed out Terran army, so it's no wonder it's getting absolutely obliterated right now, Sam.
We are watching a pretty handily accomplished bop from Light. Yep. YSC just getting smacked down without too much trouble. Light is going to push right up here into the natural and cut off all of the rally point for YSC. He's built some gateways into the top left-hand corner, but the army is just too good. GG is called. YSC taps out. Light is going in the next game versus Queen.
Damn, that was the biggest beatdown we've seen in KCM for a while. I'm going to quickly use the buffering one sec.
All right. I'm just gonna have a couple bucks and then after nice. So we have some for tomorrow, huh? Put it in the fridge. Maybe put it in my fridge because I probably won't eat more than that. What's that? You go to the convenience. With just one beer? You got me one beer?
I could go to convenience and get one more and get some. Yes.
Never resisting till all resistant. We can resist together.
It's so hard to resist.
Is there a bottle of water in there?
Yo.
Hey,
What's up, buddy?
just having a little bite.
Little eat to bite.
Yeah. Mm. Good. Mm.
What's your prediction, Sam? Is Light going to clean house, or is Best going to take
I don't
it?
know. Queen has been crazy good lately.
Yeah.
This is a three-way toss-up, I'd say.
Yeah, Queen's been performing a lot better recently, has to be said. This is definitely a
But
toss-up.
Light did look Light did look freaking scary that last game. I guess it's because Tyson just didn't defend right.
Yeah.
But
And I think Light's TVZ is pretty strong.
here's my prediction: if Light wins versus Queen, I think he beats Best.
Mm. But Queen wins, Queen wins.
If Queen wins, I think Queen beats Best.
Yeah. I thought you were going to say that. Okay. I can see that.
So I'm predicting that Best will not win no matter what.
Yeah, I would say it's more likely that Light or Queen win. I would say that much. I think Best hasn't been performing his best, pun intended, recently, whereas Queen and Light have been a bit more of a stronger showing. We'll see though. It would be nice to see a Queen returning to form, but I just also, something tells me that he's still going to be choking. Like, I don't see him losing that choking like issue, because he seems to go through waves of playing really good then suddenly choking again. He even lost to fucking, what's that guy's name, BCM, like a 2200 MMR, like C teamer, not even a B teamer, C teamer, like an online practice partner. He even lost to him in the previous SSLs. He's had like a really like weird trajectory. You could argue that he just got unlucky and like he was one of the only pros that, you know, happened to lose 2 games to that guy that day. But I don't know, man. I still think he's choking a little bit.
Yeah, he's been choking. It's not a question. He's definitely been choking, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
것 같아요. 네, 그리고 오늘은 전체 와
이거를 제가
이야
이거 의미 있죠?
아유 당연하죠. 7대 0이라는 전적은 야
Okay.
둘이
A three-way toss-up between Best, Light, and Queen.
기억하고 있거든요. 아니요 호각이에요 원래.
Couldn't have asked for a better end to this week of KCM Shun. These 3 players
최근 한 달.
Yeah.
are at the top of their game, especially Queen recently. He's really been showing up where he usually chokes, or he's been choking quite a lot.
맞아요.
Right.
now these past few weeks he's been tuning up his play, possibly in preparation for SSL.
I mean, you'd have to think so, and I would like to see some much stronger games out of him. When he does play his A game, he's an absolute machine. It's a pleasure to witness, so hopefully we'll see more of those games out of him. And Light, inversely, such a strong TVZ player, although the kind of guy to cut his SCV much earlier on, around 35 to 40, and go into a much heavier production into the earlier mid-game. Putting the pressure onto his opponents with a smaller economy does kind of switch up the dial for the Zergs in terms of the temperatures they're usually dealing with in the kitchen, so sometimes they just can't handle the heat and they crumble under it.
That's the modern TVZ meta, to just put so much pressure onto the Zerg player that they just can't bear the weight any longer. And Queen is one of those players who he's got a pretty good threshold for what kind of pressure he can handle, but everybody has a breaking point, and Light is one of those players who will bring you to that breaking point faster than anyone else.
Absolutely. Looks like Queen's going for a 12-12-12 here. He knows it's Radion, so very long rush distances, almost no matter what. He's checking this bottom left with the drones. We know it's not close positions, horizontal. He's going to be feeling pretty happy about this decision now. Should be pretty easy to defend any early Marine move-outs from Light and kind of get away with a little bit more of an economic-focused based style here. I don't know, I wonder what Light wants to do. It looks like he's just going to be taking a much more normal approach to this game with a normally timed CC, and there's nothing crazy out of him thus far, but I wonder if he's got anything special planned or if he's just going to play a straight up game here.
Rax on high ground has been making a comeback recently. I've seen more players putting the racks up here and not opting for any sort of wall in. I think it's something that's come and gone, but there's just been so much emphasis on walls in the past couple of seasons of KCM and SSL. It really does feel like that meta had solidified, and now it's being switched up once again. Light here getting his second racks out before going for any sort of eBay or armory. He's going to have a pretty high Marine medic count, and we'll see if he wants to come across the map and put on some pressure, try to force out some Sunkens, or does he have a different game plan, because there are some interesting branches that Terran players can take in the modern era of Terran versus Zerg.
Yeah, I mean, one of the issues that Zerg have in the early game is that Terrans can apply pressure with bio, force you to make Sunkens, and maybe even break your Sunkens and still not have to be all in. They can still macro behind this aggression. And this is the issue Zergs have had for quite some time. So they're usually forced to make too many Sunkens or too many Lings in the early game, and they're not quite lined up for the mid game as much. But with this 2.5 hatchery, he does have a lot more lava available to him. So going for like Mutaling styles is much easier. You have a much more lava, and you also can go squeeze out so many more drones to be powerful in that mid game economy, rather than waiting so long for your power spikes. The first power spike is 1 drone per patch, and then the next power spike is adding like another 3 or so drones to each base, and then you've got a real economy to work with.
See, Queen gets a sunken colony out in the front. I've seen more and more Zerg players just opt for a single sunken colony every game as well. Just one player who comes to mind is actually Soma, who on the ladder has been throwing down an early sunken colony and skipping out on more Lings, playing more of a zealot style of early game. And Queen here, he does have to put down these sunken colonies. This is a very standard 2 racks move out timing. He hit just before 5 minutes and threatened to bust through if Queen didn't build those 2 sunken colonies. So this is a throwback build actually from Light a little bit. This is a build that was super popular for a very long time, but has kind of fallen out of the meta a little bit. Good to see Queen react appropriately and get the sunken colonies down that he needs to at the right moment.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest issues when playing vertically like this for Terran is you really don't know where the mutas are going to go. like, and your production line is actually closer to the Zerg player than usual, so you have to prioritize the turrets at all 3 locations and maybe slightly more the production area than usual, which doesn't actually feel that nice as Terran, having to build like turrets at all 3 locations simultaneously rather than just 2 and then catching up on the 3rd one. Feels a little bit less ideal on the optimizations, but nonetheless, Light should be able to make a pretty good setup here of defense. Queen coming in, trying to snipe these SCVs as they finish the 3rd turret. 2 incoming missiles is not too big of a deal, but 3 is a little bit more of an issue to worry about as you're taking way more HP damage to come in here and kill SCVs, but he's already killed like 3 or so SCVs. Ideally, he'd like to get 5 or 6 and then just go into macro mode, but he's got a few.
Yeah, it's a good start here for our Zerg. Queen looping back around towards this natural. He gets another couple kills here, it looks like. Can actually catch that one. There's another kill on this SCV. And now he's actually got the damage that he was looking for. There's about 5 SCV kills, maybe 6.
Yeah.
Time to fall back and switch into that macro mode, as you were saying. Adding on some more drones in between mutas as he gets into a good position. But Light is starting to flesh out onto the map. He's looking towards that bottom left and looking to threaten that location. You can't really engage with this force if there's too many fire bats in there. Ling's Ling aggression is just not going to work out too well, but he's already shaved off a bunch of the Marines and killed one of the fire bats. This is starting to look like a force he can handle.
Yeah, this is like an old school barber that doesn't have any electricity, just pure razor blade usage here from Queen, slicing a little bit off the top from Light, and Light's feeling a little bit too down to his grade that he wants to pull back. I mean, this is looking smaller and smaller, this Bible, and we have Lings flooding out for a little cleanup maybe if Light does decide to go for another push out. This medic energy is also pretty low. I'm a little bit concerned for Light. I don't think he's going to be able to push out for quite some time, and if he does, it's going to look like one of Sulky's games where he just gobbles up the bio with lots of Mutalisks and Lings.
So he's found the fire bat. He takes that down. Firebat was spotted earlier as it passed the hatchery, going into that bottom left-hand corner. The transition is well underway for Light, but I'm sure we've got some transitionary buildings going down for Queen now as well. I see a few blobs on the mini-map, and so we can safely assume that a Hydralisk Den is down and lurkers are going to be coming out here soon. Meanwhile, trying to take a little bit more off the top, grabbing a couple more of these Marines. Light needs to reinforce this Bioforce soon, otherwise he's going to get completely scalped. Diving on top of everything. Queen going to just clean up this entire Bioforce. Very good control from Queen. Soul Key-esque cleanup on that Bioforce. This is the Queen that we know and love, and
yeah,
we're hoping was going to be making a return this season.
This is the Apaches just going to be taking the whole scalp as a trophy there. And Ling's poking in the natural to see if they can get anything done, but unable to do so. So far, really great play from Queen, though. It's pretty much what we expect out of a guy of his caliber. When he's not choking, he's playing a bit like a monster like this. Now going to come into the main base and kill out some of these turrets that are undefended. Turrets are going to buy you a few seconds at this stage, but not much more. Once he clears out these turrets, this position needs to be kind of pinned down with a lot of Marines. It's going to be some time until the Irradiates can bully away the Mutalisks, and he can also kind of use these supply depots to bait the Marines out. If they're not in a high enough number, you might be able to shave some more of those off as well. Light doing a pretty good job this game of keeping his Bioforces together, but Queen just so on top of his Mutalisk micro as well, has shaved off so many of these Bioforces that now Light is in a little bit of a desperation moment.
Light lifted his CC to get his Marines into that back corner, but it cost him a lot of lost mining time. SCVs had to transfer all the way to the natural and then back into the main as the CC lands. He will get that back underway, but Queen's already done a bunch of damage, and now he's got lurkers out on the map. Doesn't look like a situation where he can come across and set up lurkers in the front, but he's heading that direction. I wonder if this is a big mistake from Queen. Will he come out here and end up losing a bunch of these lurkers and then being under a lot of pressure if he just sits back and does nothing? I think his position is pretty good, but he's looking for more.
Yeah.
I would say he's at like a an 18 in blackjack, and he's saying hit me. It's not quite a 20 like what we saw at a sock, but
Yeah,
he's at a pretty high. He's at a pretty good position, and he's thinking about throwing it away right now.
yeah, he's definitely a hit on 17 all day, every day kind of guy, and maybe even hitting on an 18 as well. This is a little bit ambitious, but does manage to open up the position, the natural expansion, forcing the forces back, and now he might be able to get deeper with these lurkers if he wants to after pulling back so many of these forces. Maybe he can set up a contain here. There's not that much irradiate available. I'm curious about Queen's hesitation. I thought for a second he was going to set up a monstrous contain, but he's decided against it. He wants to leave a little bit of wiggle room to Light and just set up in the middle here. I think he feels comfortable with the game state. Doesn't want to quite hit on 19. Wants to just, maybe a little bit greedy, hit on 17, 18, but not be too crazy.
And not going to go for the kill here just yet. As I say that, everything unburrows and he starts running forward. All right, Queen, he's just going to run up here. That's a lot of lurkers to deal with, and there's not many irradiates. Queen does not have his transition coming yet, and Light is going to move around this. He's got to get in the pathway of this Defiler. That is critical. If the Defiler reaches the front with all of these lurkers here in this forward position, he is just going to be lights out so quick.
Oh,
he will catch that, and it goes
wow.
down.
This is crazy.
Queen just threw away a big advantage here, and his natural is actually under threat at the moment. Is there actually a Nidus connecting these two bases? I certainly hope so.
Well, there's the bare minimum defense of 3 Lurker, 2 Sunken, which does hold against most Bioforces as long as there's no D-Matrixes or too many vessels laying down irradiates, so he should technically be sewn up tight enough to hold against this. Do have the transition into Ultralisk with the 4th base now sprouting online, so Queen will eventually go up to 1200 gas a minute here and start to be able to surge out a lot of forces onto the map. Light inversely has this 12 o'clock going up, but Queen just looks like he's got so much going for him right now. I don't know if Light is going to be able to stabilize this game state. He needs to double expand. Yes, he's taking the other expansion, the natural third, which is exactly what he needs to do. He needs to double expand into 4 bases himself and just do a bit of a Hail Mary here maybe and see if he can get something done. Maybe even make a couple of drop ships somewhere and see if he can go for a Hail Mary, drop into the main base, and just hope for the best, and maybe he can somehow turn this game around.
I kind of like the play now that we're back to a more normal game state. It was kind of scary for a moment what Queen was doing, sending all those lurkers across the map and then almost getting caught and surrounded, but it was a bit of a skill check, right? He's like, okay, are you going to be fast enough to get your Marine Medic out on the map and actually catch this Defiler as it comes across the map? If not, I win. If yes, I can back up and salvage this game state, go into a longer game. That's the mark of a real professional from at this level, able to skill check a player like Light and give the opportunity to win with no opportunity to lose, not throwing away anything in doing a play like that. So Queen sitting back here in a good position. He's pretty much sewed up tight. He's got Scourge and Mutas everywhere. Oh god, these SCVs, what are they doing? They're stuck. Oh, this is such a pain in the butt. He's going to have to manually move those. That's so frustrating. And if he's paying attention to something else, those could get stuck for a long time. Looks like they won't. He will make them go to the right place that they need to be. Lot of irradiates go down here on these Mutas, but that's kind of a wasted, sort of a wasted irradiates there, throwing them down on Mutas that really aren't valuable anymore.
Yeah. I mean, Queen is thinking a little bit like how like a professional football player would be thinking. Like he's going to calculate like what are the odds of a ball ricocheting in a certain way, and he's going to be in that position just in case it is for the dice lands that way. But look at this drop attempt from Light being completely shut down initially with these lurkers, trying to get some forces dropped on top of the mineral line. But the Lings and Mutas should just barely be in a high enough threshold that he can get on top of these bio units before they get much damage out. So many irradiates though. If he keeps shuffling this bioforce behind the minerals, he can actually clean out these Lings, and eventually the lurkers die to the irradiate. Maybe he can at least deny mining for some time here and body block with the medic and be super annoying. At the very least, he's killing off so many lurkers and defilers with the irradiates while this chaos is going on, and denying some mining time. That this is actually pretty overall cost efficient. Now we can go for a Razor Tricks too.
Racer Trick, does he have Burrow? I don't think so. Another drop comes in. Some Scourge pop out. They're going to go after these Science Vessels. There is a Dark Swarm, but it's a little bit off position. He is going to get a second Dark Swarm on top of these Marines, but they're holding their ground so well. Where are all the units? Another drop comes in. That dropship finally does get picked off. Another drop comes in, though. Absolutely relentless stuff here from Light. Looks like those drones are going to end up going down, but now Ultras are on the field. They're going to be able to push back these Marines, no problem. There's just the one medic there. He will be able to tuck himself behind those mineral patches pretty tightly, but even that bottom side is going to be open. The Ultras can get in there and stop this.
Yeah, the observer there just removing the minimap so you can see just how open that backside actually really is. More and more vessels just falling like flies. So many firebats coming out to hopefully find something underneath the Dark Swarms. Maybe he can still break through. If Queen just relies on one single Dark Swarm to hold a position, if there's enough firebats underneath it, he can still break through and get something done here, can Light. So trying to maybe hope for the best and just see. Oh, not again with these SCVs, man. Come on, sort it out, lad.
Oh my goodness, this is taking so long. That's so much lost mining time. Light is really hurting for that. We've got more Dark Swarm coming out here as the Lings and Ultras begin to spill out on the map. +4 armor is done, so +2 Carapace is finished. The +3 attack should be finishing up here soon for Light. Time for Queen to start double expanding, taking multiple bases around the map and looking to grow out as he sends little counterattack forces to annoy and potentially damage some of this mining time for Light. Maybe kill off some of these SCVs, force the pulls at the very bare minimum. There's 2 bunkers on that high ground. That's going to be super annoying to break unless he gets a Defiler across the map, and Light is being very active in the middle. Unlikely that Queen will just be able to send out a Defiler and hope that it makes it to that top center or top right.
We're trying to play whack-a-mole with these bases right now. If he can just, limit Queen to these 4 gases, maybe there's still hope. It will be some time before he can win the game because he is now mined out in his main base. Natural will soon to be mined out, and that will reset the Terran's economy to back to 2 bases yet again. So keeping Zerg on 4 bases while you're on 2 does become a little bit of a problem, especially when plagues start coming out. The later the game goes on, the easier the game state becomes for the Zerg usually. Terran are trying to find their timings in that mid-game phase most of the time, and then once they can't really achieve that, Zergs can sometimes run away with the game like this. So Light is trying to contain the virus as best as he can, but I don't think there's enough face masks to help him.
The army gets a lot easier to control with Zerg as time goes on. It gets more and more difficult with SK Terran to maneuver all of these Marines and medics around, plus dodge the plagues that are happening and get value out of these irradiates as well. It's just a very tall order. Some drones do get caught being transferred over towards this fresh base, this 5th base over here in the center left, and Light is actually bearing down on that location, so he might have an opportunity to shut down that base. Keeping Zerg off of a 5th base is the key to his victory right now, but Queen is also attacking at the same time. He's sending out masses of Scourge to try and wipe out these science vessels that are so annoying, so pesky at irradiating all of his precious Defilers, and actually he's going to save most of his vessels there, doing a really good job gunning down these Scourge. Light holds strong and does get pushed back away from that 3rd, but he's maintaining a really good presence out here on the map.
Yeah, I mean, he's solving the problems of today, but there's more problems that are going to arise tomorrow, and that comes in the way of not only this 5th base now mining away, but a 6th base is also coming up for Queen, and Light is still stagnant on these 4 bases on this quadrant of the map. He needs to somehow gain ground and expand, but he's not able to do so. These 5-2 upgraded Ultralisks, their Kaiser Blades slicing through that Terran infantry so efficiently. Without good medic blocks, there's not going to be a chance of winning that fight. He's stimming the bunkers to have any kind of hope of increase in DPS. Maybe he can somehow limit the amount of ultras here when they dive in. He's also got these BCs that are finally coming out. Now he can start to put even more pressure onto Queen, sending these across the map to put pressure on the gas bases and limit the income for Queen might be critical to his comeback. I don't think the only way he can win this game is if he somehow limits the gas income of Queen. Without that, there's no hope.
Yeah, there's more than enough minerals here for Queen. He's just being bottlenecked by that gas income, and as he gets these other gases online, that's going to become less of an issue. He's going to be able to max out on just masses and masses of ultras and lings. Such an efficient force when in low numbers, when you're not fighting against just masses of bio all clumped together, and all he needs to do is put some defilers out on this map to make it difficult for Light to accumulate a massive army and actually keep it together. The plagues will just be so devastating in a situation like that. Now counterattacking up towards the top center. Meanwhile, these battlecruisers are coming in and getting blocked by the Defiler, also plagued by that Defiler as well. The Marines are almost going to win this fight, but it looks like the Ultralisk will eventually win the day. Scourge come out in mass numbers and wipe out those battle cruisers, and Light is just about cooked here. He is almost out of juice, and his bunkers are going down at his one base left mining. This is just about over as Queen continues to expand around the map. He's playing so good, and he's playing out of his mind right now.
Honestly, he is. Like Light has done a great job of trying to throw everything his way and has not been able to get the better of him. Queen has been firing in all cylinders all game long and really taking Light to task, and now the game state is becoming more and more untenable as Light suddenly has too many fires to put out. The plates are coming crashing down. He can no longer keep them all spinning, and his world is spinning as well, saying as the equilibrium in his ears are probably going haywire right now, unable to keep up with the interactions required to just keep his bases mining. He's got his borrowed Ling in his 12 o'clock expansion. He can't even land this CC again to go back to mining. It's so frustrating. He can't even scan to kill the Ling because the Ling is blocking him from landing to get the scanner to scan for the Ling.
What a conundrum there. He finally does bring forward couple of science vessels and removes that pesky Ling. Here comes some more Scourge, gonna catch a bunch of these vessels. So many vessels going down. Queen still staying efficient even though he's got this massive economy. Look at how well he's spending his money. He's keeping it so low.
Wow.
Incredible stuff.
Look at these bases
from Zero.
This is crazy. Yeah, this is Zero, guys. Back in the day, that was his name. He doesn't need any numbers besides the default number, okay? You can't divide by this guy.
That's correct. More and more ultras pouring out. Light is desperately trying to shut down at least one of these bases. He's going for the base in the top left-hand corner, but he's opening himself up to a massive counterattack. His army is so far out of position. This base is certainly going to fall, and the ultras blasting into his natural are not going to be easily shut down. Fire bats are not what it takes, and the army is just sitting here kind of dormant, not moving, not pushing, not coming back to defend. And so Light is getting mopped up in his main, his third, and he's not really dealing much damage to Queen. He's coming this direction, but there's 3 lurkers stacked next to 2 sunken colonies over at that base. It'll take a lot for Light to break through that, and in the meantime, he is losing everything back at home. GG. Light taps out, and Queen will move forward. Terran goes down first.
Yes, good enough outro. Use that.
All right.
Who do you think? I mean, I think Queen as well, but Best is the comeback king in PvZ. Like, you know, gets the craziest wins when you think that you count him out. So I don't want to count him out. Queen could choke hard here. Who knows?
Yeah, he absolutely could.
But my money would be on Queen.
Let's see.
I'd say like
All right.
60-40, kind of queen favored.
Sounds fair. Does the map play into that equation at all?
A little bit, yeah.
Now that we're here in Eclipse?
Yeah, I would say about 60-40 based on map and recent history.
Yeah, just that performance from Queen alone, man. He was forcing so many interactions. He was just so active that whole game.
Right.
Like, coming out with the lurkers is such a scary play to go out there with all of your defensive units and like stand out in front of the
You have to be
Terran
very
base.
decisive and confident to pull that kind of stuff off.
Yes. I just, the confidence is really showing through, and that's what makes me the most, it makes me feel like Queen has the best chance because of that confidence.
I think that's why Zerg is hard at the highest level, is because you have to have confidence and balls to pull off plays like that, but you have to risk looking like a stupid sausage monkey every time you do it.
Yeah, that's true. All right,
let's get it.
Let's go.
근데 결과론적으로 테라는 꼴등을 했습니다.
Our final game of the night. Can get rid of that scoreboard because it's only Best and Queen left over. We're here on Eclipse for this final game. And Queen, I don't know if Best can beat him. Queen just looking so good in that last game. So tuned in. He really did run through light in kind of a way that we don't really see very often Zerg players able to do.
No. Honestly, and Light is like very adept in his TVZ, so it's very formidable for Queen to have such a strong showing against a player of his caliber. I'm really impressed by that. And if Queen doesn't choke against Best here, I think we can start to feel a lot more confident about Queen coming back to form for this SSL without any hiccups along the way, hopefully.
Well, I think that Queen at least is feeling confident. It's really showing through in his gameplay, the way that he was moving out with those lurkers initially and threatening Light with his defensive units.
Right.
It was really surprising to see him playing at such a high level so confidently, but let's see if he can continue that confidence and if he still has that confidence in ZVP as well. Taking a long route around, Best going down through the bottom lane. Makes his way into the natural, checks that natural. He's not going to see the hatchery coming down because Queen has opted for his third base. And it's a Nexus after Forge from Best. Pretty standard opening out of him. Hasn't been able to delay this hatchery at all, so it's pretty much even. You're not too unhappy as a Zerg player having to take your third base, as long as it's not like a 2-gate all-in or something like that, right, Shin?
Right. I mean, you sometimes would see 2-gate on this map. It's a little bit of a mind game because, like, honestly, Forge Expand is probably superior overall, but I don't know, like Gateway First just gives you such free damage potential. It just requires a little bit more finesse, and Best is actually the kind of guy to go for Forge Expand more often than Gate Expand. So I think maybe Queen assumed that that would be the case here as well, that he would be facing a Forge, and that's why we saw him just happily take this third right away, and has chosen to elect to play a much more passive style against Best, assuming the Forge right from the start.
Well, Best, I cast him recently in a series that was actually today on Soup, the Soup Duel series, Best versus Hero. Best showed a really large range of play, even going for 2-gate in natural one game.
Nice.
So that is definitely within his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yes, that's something he is capable of doing, but he's just opting for a very normal opener. He's being really cautious here, getting the scouting information he needs. A Hydralisk Den has started in that main base. Was he able to see that, Shun, with the probe?
Probes have quite large vision ranges, but I'm not too sure if he did or not, saying, to be frank with you.
흘려보냈고요. 도지욱 선수 입장에서는 좀
This Zealot coming across the map may be able to get confirmation. It's actually heading towards the third, but
레어를 못
depending on where these lings are, he might change the trajectory and try to slip in there. Getting the information in that main base is critical to holding on against any sort of Hydra aggression early.
Yeah, and this wall is really weak to Hydra Bus because it's a horizontal expansion opening like this. The buildings are wider than they are taller, so it makes it way easier to bust through that wall in terms of how you position your Hydras, and way harder to defend it as well inversely. Almost catching this probe, unable to do so. These two Zealots now coming into the third base while the probe tries to get into the main base to spot the Hydra Den. He needs to block this probe from getting to the main base, as well as dealing with the two Zealots coming into his third. So he's got the probe blocking on the ramp, maybe denying the probe. Doesn't block the probe getting into the main base. He will spot this Hydra Den, which could flip this game on its head completely now that the information has been discovered. This might be more of a fake Hydra bus now as a response from Queen. Not quite able to get any damage done to the drone lines, but it doesn't matter. This move out into the third base and enable him to get the probe into the main and get the full scouting information now will pay dividends.
있고요. 도지욱 선수는 봤기 때문에 죽을 일
Oh, that is a throw your head back in disgust moment there for Queen when that probe managed to slip by the drone. Just couldn't get that into position in time.
적어도 그냥
It's a difficult task to just get that to the exact right pixel where it can actually block the probe out of the main. But
그리고 이 쳐도
in the end, Best knows everything, and he's almost able to get a drone kill there at the third base as well. Good control from Queen to save that. However, he won't be able to get through this wall with the Hydralisk bust, I don't think. Especially if he loses this Overlord. Overlord getting cut quite low. He's got to be really careful with that as he pushes forward. Is there just going to be a straight up transition from Queen as he kills the wall? I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I think he kind of has to. I think he kind of has to just like kill the wall and transition here. I think because it's got spotted so early, you know the cannons are going to be ready. So, and with the Corsair confirming the additional Hydras, you kind of have to go like fake here. You can't really commit to this and expect to be okay. It'd be very difficult to do so. You'd have to be a genius in terms of how you hide your Hydras from the Corsair, and also somehow confuse him by how you saturate your minerals with the drones. So it would not be too easy for Queen to get away with a Hydra bust in this situation. So the transition makes way more sense, and Best actually cancelled his fourth cannon, so he's actually super optimized against the transition now after confirming what exactly Queen was going to be doing with that Corsair. He now will be lined up for that mid-game oh so much better than usual.
Well, there's actually a bunch of Hydras that just arrived at the natural. I think another group just came up here to join. No, that's Lings. Okay.
Yeah.
The Lings from the early game coming forward to join these Hydras. That's not enough stuff to actually bust through the three cannons, and Best knows it. So he won't be adding on anything more, just getting into his Zealots, getting that speed upgrade as soon as possible so he can put the pressure back onto Queen. That's the problem with opening Hydra Bust as a Zerg player. You're just not going to have your drones added on early enough to deal with a very quick pressure play from the Zealot player. Best is going to be able to come out here with a big round of Zealots and just start to bully back these Hydras, and then it'll be up to Queen to just make non-stop Hydras to hold on to it. He's not going to be able to slip out any more drones as soon as these are out on the map. All Hydras will have to be pumped, and he's just going to have to hope that he's made enough drones to make this a really reasonable game after his initial bust.
Yeah.
Looking at these drone numbers, it looks like he'll be okay, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, you kind of have to just make at least like 2 control groups worth of units just to make sure you don't straight up die to the Zealot pressure, and then you got to skirmish once the Templars come online. Although this is pretty good from Queen. He hasn't really taken too much of a hit here and shaved off a little bit of the Zealots. A lot of Zerglings were made though, so I think actually this still goes Best favored because of how many Zerglings he's forced. That's a lot of wasted lava You don't want to underestimate the power of lava going in the wrong direction here. If you build Lings instead of Hydras when you should have built Hydras, that's actually a pretty big deal in this matchup, and in any matchup for Zerg. It's really important to make sure your lava goes to exactly where it needs to go to, and that's why you see Zergs so easily punished, is because they can't just cancel and remake what they actually want to make or queue up units or anything. They have to be so decisive when they do turn that lava into units.
Lurkers being made. I was looking at this game state and thinking probably there's going to be a bunch of Mutas popping out of Queen here soon. He's been on 3 gas for quite a while, and he just made that big group of Lings. I thought he'd just been gaining up so much gas that we were going to see a big transition into Mutas. Nice snipe there on that Corsair as it runs back home, but instead we're going to have a bunch of Lurkers out, and he'll be defending this 4th base with the bare minimum number of units. Not going to take that fight because he would lose a lot of Zealots trying to kill that base, and really Queen could just cancel and remake it. That trade would be super bad for Best, so he has to back away. And now Queen is going very quickly into mass upgrade Ling Lurker. He's transitioning so fast into this late game, it's crazy.
Yeah, and Queen is going to be firing on all cylinders soon, especially if he gets away with this 4th base more or less unchecked from Best. Best needs a lot of Dragoons to start bullying him back, and he's not quite got the production to do so. It's going to take him another half minute or so to get a few macro cycles out there so he can actually take this 3rd base and put some pressure on. He's finally going to start to have the threshold needed to do so. He's got a Dark Archon as well, waiting in reserve, just in case there was a lot of Mutalisks to snipe the High Templars. Maybe he can just get a Maelstrom Storm combo on those Mutalisks and deal with them that way. So Queen will probably want to stay invested in Hydra Lurker Battle Zerg mode while transitioning into this late game Hive setup. He probably will allow Best to take this 3rd base and just go straight into Hive and just be in a powerful late game scenario.
I think you're completely right with that, Shun. It really does seem like Queen is taking a more passive role now, waiting for Best to try and aggress into him while waiting for these upgrades. These Lings are really not going to trade well against this massive army that Best has made until we have some upgrades and crackling established. Going to look for maybe some sort of counter, try to dive in, kill a Templar or something, but instead he finds the army and just backs away. One Ling slips up on to this high ground. That's going to be a little annoying, killing 1 probe, but that's not really the big story of this game. The big story is this push that's coming across the map, and whether or not Best can get the value out of the army. This massive Dragoon force does need to do something before Darkswarm comes out, and it is on the way here. It's almost the Hive being ready, and then it's going to be Defilers, and once that consume is done, you're not going to push through Lurkers under Darkswarm with a bunch of Dragoons like this. It's just going to be a terrible trade. So Best is moving in the direction of his natural. It's really going to come down to this fight, whether Best can make some progress or not.
Yeah, he's going to start skirmishing on this from this high ground, low ground transition here, but the massive field of Lurkers will make this almost impossible to break. I imagine he's just going to look to skirmish once he realizes how bad the situation is. I can't imagine he's going to try and break through here, but he might feel like he has to. He's going to town with these Dragoons, trying to get into a good setup, and now he realizes, hang on a minute, there's just a little bit too much stuff here. I don't think I can actually break into that, and he's absolutely right. It's a complete kill zone down there. If he tries to attack into that, he will lose the game for sure.
Wow, that Lurker setup from Queen is next level. Look at the giant concave he's created in that area. Best making the right decision by pulling back for sure. He's still got some time before Defiler comes out. And he's going to rotate around to this top side while taking the 4th base. I like this decision. Try to push while taking a base behind this, but Queen is already repositioning his Lurkers. He's getting ready for the attack coming forward, and he's getting ever closer to that Defiler transition. Hive is on the way, and he's going to have Crackling soon as well.
Yeah, this is the main problem. Once Cracklings is online and you've got Plague coming up soon after, what do you do as Protoss? But for the time being, he's trying to break through with this choke now. A little bit hard for Zerg to hold this choke, but also inversely hard for the Protoss to push up this ramp. He has to clear the field of Lurker, Hydra to then get on top of the high ground. Now he's got his toe on the high ground. He's running the risk of getting bowled over because the Zerg can come from the front and behind if he wants to go all the way around. But with that expansion taken, he knows the Zerg's not in behind him, so he's trying to just push through this frontal assault. Maybe he can somehow make it work if he gets all the Zerg forces bottlenecked up. Maybe there's a way of making it work, but Queen is very smartly pulling his units around to the top flank again and setting up these kill boxes over and over again, creating new arcs, new threats as well for Best to contend with, and it's just keeping the Protoss at bay longer and longer that he can get into that late game macro cycles that I don't think Best is going to have much longevity in this. He's got this expansion coming up, so there's some life left for him, but eventually Queen, I think, will outscale him.
Yeah, you asked what you can do as a Protoss player once the Hive is done, and once there's Cracklings and Defilers out on the map. It's really up to the Protoss to get the base count way up so that he can transition into Robo and have Reavers and all of the really important tech units that can actually deal damage under the Darkstorm. These Storms are absolutely crushing it. Queen getting a little bit out of position, and Best continues to fire down onto this base. He's actually almost breaking through here. He's running out of Storms, though. Another round of Templar make their way to the front, though. These Storms are going to be crucial. He throws down Storms on that front row of Lurkers, and he's actually busting straight on through. The rallies coming forward here are crushing this army, and it looks like we may just lose this position. That is unbelievable. So many forces were sent up here to try and defend this, but Queen is still going to break.
Best is the kind of guy that you count him out and then he somehow comes back in these PvZ situations. We were talking about it off air a little bit. He's one of those guys that can always have this sort of like special X factor that you can count him out and somehow he'll find a way of making it work, and he's done that against Queen, and Queen is choking a little bit right now. Killing this base is not the end of the road for him. He has got his other base sprouting up in the bottom right, but it's now no longer a powerful position that it once was. There's so much raining down on him. He's falling apart at the seams, and he can't contain the threat. He can't body block this threat. There's no way of finessing his way out of this. He's just trying to throw things at the wall and seeing what sticks, and there's not enough lings to throw at the wall. He has to tap out, saying it's going to be Best putting more points on the board than we expected for Protoss this week.
Whoa, that follow-up push was incredible. Best getting in there and breaking through. Remember how many Lurkers were in the center when Best originally tried to push.
Yeah.
He ground through that Lurker number little bit by little bit and eventually managed to push through for the win. That was incredible. Best, somehow, I'm not sure how he tricked Queen into letting up on the defenses over at that fourth base, but he somehow, by pulling back, convinced Queen that attack was over, and then as he comes back through, the rallies just endless to break through that position. I am so impressed, Shun. That was looking like a great game for Queen, and I thought we were going to go late at the very least, but somehow Best cracks that spot. I mean, we talk about Best all the time in PvT, how he's able to break positions that don't look breakable, but rarely do we see him make a play like that happen in PvZ. But there it is, cracking through Queen. Just such an impressive feat there to end this series, and we finally got a Protoss win. 2 points on the board for this team. I bet a lot of those Protoss players out there are going to be super happy and probably commenting how wrong they were that Protoss was completely underpowered. Am I right, Shun?
Yeah, you're right. You're so right. Now, if you want, I can go straight into this score screen with saying that. So you can edit that.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
You're absolutely right, saying astute observation as always. Now, looking at the point score screen, it's so happy am I to see the life flowing in the Protoss squad here. An early flat line for these first 2 weeks, but finally shooting up with those 2 points. They are still trailing right now behind Zerg with just 2 to 3 points, and then 4 for Terran above them as well. So, but now we've got a tight pack of racers heading forward into this next middle week. So I'm much more excited about this season now that we've got Protoss kind of neck and neck with the other 2 squads yet again.
2, 3, 4. Couldn't ask for better. I mean, if we're all going to be, it's possible we could see a complete neck and neck if Protoss wins next week and Zerg gets second place again.
Right.
Then we would all be tied up at 4 points. But this is about almost as good as it gets. I'm really glad, like you said, that we're having a close season once again. I wonder if Protoss is going to continue with this lineup, though. Are we going to keep seeing Tyson thrown out with YSC, or are we going to have a comeback of Bisu and Snow? I think that a lot of people out there would be really happy to see those players once again, but you can't take anything away from Tyson or YSC this week. They've been holding their own and putting up games worthy of any Protoss player.
And thanks to them, they've now held their weight enough that Best could come through for them and scoop up the points at the end. So if anything, yeah, thanks to them, we've got 2 points on the board for Protoss. They've been doing a marvelous job on the squad, especially considering we probably were counting them out a little bit most of these weeks.
Absolutely. Guys, that's going to be it for this week of the KCM. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who's been joining in on the Soupcast as well. That's a new series that I've been doing, and you can find it on my channel. Go check out that Best versus Hero series. If you like that last game, you're going to love the best of 7 that I casted between those 2 players. That'll be coming out very soon. It should be out before this KCM, so it'll already be out on the channel. You can go check that out now. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Thank you to Shun for the co-cast. It was a lot of fun, buddy, as always.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you
We're
guys
done.
so much. Oh, you just cut off what I said if you want. I'll just do it. Just do a thanks, guys, at the end.
Okay.
That was awkward.
I was still recording there, so.
If you want, you could include that awkwardness at the end and just be like, Son told me to keep in the awkwardness. Oh, shit.
That's funny.
That's funny.
All right. Well, I had uploaded that Soup series. So I actually don't have to just immediately, I don't have to instantly make the KCM today. Thankfully, I can just kind of rest.
Nice.
You can still send me the Audacity here first so that I can just have it for tomorrow. But I'm not gonna do all of the immediate editing here today.
That sounds good.
Take a little rest. I think I cast for like over 6 hours today. That's a lot. It's a lot of casting.
Yeah, pace yourself. You gotta make sure you take breaks in between as well. You can get away with it, but make sure you're resting your voice in between casts and things like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, drinking water all the time.
Yeah. Take care of yourself in between, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I do feel my voice a little bit. Nothing like Thailand, though. Oh my gosh. I ruined my voice in Thailand. That was...
Yeah, but you're double dipping. You were casting and socializing, so you're like yapping away to people as well as casting. Right?
That's right. I was.
So yeah,
I was indeed.
that's the problem.
Yapping away.
You're not resting your voice in between the talking on cast. Yeah, casting is probably harder than it seems in some respects and easier than it seems in other respects. It's kind of a weird one.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, Dustin, screen recorder showing. Maybe it's like 2 pixels off or something. I don't know. It's kind of like weird when you capture the pop out full screen window of Discord. It kind of gets a bit funky sometimes. Did I? How did I fix it? Can't remember what I did. I think I did something. Yeah, I think I read it and tried something quick to see if it would remedy it, but I couldn't spend too much attention to it. But I didn't know if it resolved it or not. So if it did resolve it, then good. Yeah, I gave it like a quick fix so I didn't get too distracted from casting, but then left it to its own devices. But I didn't even check to see. I couldn't even tell if it was working or not. I didn't even know what was wrong. Yeah, it's whatever. Luckily, it don't matter. Because Sayan's got his recording video-wise. I just need to give him my audio. Yeah, maybe.
Thank you. Got some dinner.
Dinner. What you got?
I've got lechon chicken.
What chicken?
Lechon.
Lechon. Interesting. Well, I hope it's delicious and you enjoy it either way.
Thank you.
It's one.
It's warm. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna go settle down.
Yeah, man. You do your thing. I'm gonna go chill,
No,
cousin. Huh?
Send me
Yeah. It's
when
got
you have
3 minutes, I think. 3 minutes.
Sounds good.
Anyway,
All
you have
right.
a good one. Enjoy your food.
You too, and I'll let you know when I know about SCSL.
Okay, man. Yeah, no worries. I'll assume Monday, but I'll wait for you to tell me.
All right, yeah, I'll try to get the word out of Cruiser, but he's been, like I said, a little bit bamboozled recently.
That's understandable. Let him
Discombobulated.
Yeah, let him recalibrate.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Peace. Alright guys, I hope you sausage monkeys have enjoyed the cast and the stroms. I'll be vacating the premises now. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day and lives. If you can. If you can, I challenge you. Alright, have a good one. Peace.